future. We came to feel the need.
You're watching TBPN. Today is Monday, July 28th, 2025. We are live from the TBPN Ultra Dome, the temple of technology, the fortress of finance, the capital of capital. That's extremely stupid. You should not do that. It's going to shake up. Which one is it also? Now we have a little bit of Russian roulette going on. Russian roulette going on.
Good morning, everyone.
We have a good show for you today, a fantastic show for you today. We'll kick it off with ramp.com. Time is money. Save both. Easy to use corporate cards, bill payments, accounting, and a whole lot more all in one place. Go to ramp.com to get started. Speaking of ramp, Astronomer is back. Astronomer had Ramp on the website. Apparently Ramp's a happy customer.
Never lost faith.
Never lost faith, yeah. So Astronomer, if you weren't following, if you were living under a rock, Apache Airflow as a service, managed enterprise SaaS platform on top of Apache Airflow for data analytics, streaming data, that type of stuff. And they had an absolutely chaotic week last week with their CEO being caught at a Coldplay concert. Was that last week or the week before?
I think it was
Might have been the week before.
The week before.
But
had to have been.
The CEO was caught having an affair at a Coldplay concert. Chris
Yep.
Martin called him out on stage and said, "Oh, those people look like they're having an affair."
Did he actually say that live?
He did say that on the video.
No
so
way.
they're panning
never heard
around
the
to the
sound.
different kiss cams or different just cameras, and they spot the CEO of Astronomer hugging the head of HR.
Yep.
Can't even hug your employees anymore, apparently.
Can't even give your chief people officer a hug in this country anymore.
And,
at a romantic concert.
Once they see themselves on the screen at the show, they recoil in horror and turn around, and the other person in HR who's sitting next to them is like, "Oh my God, what's going on?"
Well, that's what I didn't understand. Was that actually?
Apparently, people went and dug it up and found out that she works there too.
I thought that was people just saying, "Hey, this person looks like this person."
Oh, I don't know.
It seems wild that the HR department was hitting the concert with the CEO.
It was like maybe it was an open secret. I don't know.
Yeah,
open
yeah.
Anyway,
that's possible.
it did not. It was not good for Astronomer.
Yep.
We were discussing this. Lulu was saying the CEO's got to go because he's a hired gun, not a founder, and it just displays very bad character and it reflects poorly on the company. We were kind of going back and forth on this about the idea of like, okay, yeah, like the CEO did something bad in his personal life, but like, do you really want to find an alternative to your managed Apache Airflow service? Like, it's kind of a hassle to rip that out if you're happy with the product.
And to be clear, we said that
the
company
problem
would be fine. They did need a new CEO
Yes.
immediately. And the founder, I believe his name is Pete,
Yes.
Stepped up within days.
Yes.
Pete DeJoy.
Oh wait, so founder's back in the CEO slot?
Back in the
Let's
seat.
go.
That's the real bull
Hit
case
the
for Astronomer.
soundboard for the Ashton Hall sound effect. I want to hear some good news. Let's
Astronomer
go.
is now founder mode, everybody.
Astronomer is totally in founder mode.
They were already delivering the world's data,
Yes.
and now they're in founder mode.
They're in founder mode. I think they're unstoppable.
hard not to be
I'm excited.
bullish.
Another $1 billion for Bain Capital. Let's hear it for Bain Capital. They don't get
And
enough
Index.
credit. An
And
index
Index.
even? Nice. I didn't know that. Anyway,
Credit.
so.
And I emailed briefly with Pete DeJoy,
Yeah.
and he said he's a fan of the show.
Amazing.
So, we're hoping to
Yeah.
get him on. We don't want to actually talk about any of this
No,
stuff.
I'm
We just
I'm
want to
over
talk
it.
about
I want to talk
Apache
about
Airflow.
Apache Airflow. I'm so into Apache Airflow now. I'm so ready.
But anyways, so late Friday night, Astronomer
Clearly,
launched a
they
video.
didn't
Let's
want it.
pull
They
it
didn't
up.
want us to react
Let's
to this
pull up-
on stream, so they put it up after we logged off.
Let's pull up the video.
I want to watch the full thing.
Thank you for your interest in Astronomer. Hi, I'm Gwyneth Paltrow. I've been hired on a very temporary basis to speak on behalf of the 300 plus employees at Astronomer. Astronomer has gotten a lot of questions
Big
over
company.
the last few days,
Series
and they
D,
wanted
right?
me to answer the most common ones. Yes, Astronomer is the best place to run Apache Airflow, unifying the experience of running data, ML, and AI pipelines
Genius.
at scale. We've been thrilled so many people have a newfound interest in data workflow automation. As for the other questions we've received, yes, there is still room available at our Beyond Analytics event in September. We will now be returning
And
to
you know,
what we do
so you
best,
know
How
that
many-
you know that
delivering
Gwyneth
game-changing results
is
for
Chris
our
Martin's
customers.
ex-wife,
Yes.
Thank you for your
which
interest
makes
in
the
Astronomer.
entire thing.
It's very funny. It's not really like it's not like getting back at Chris Martin in any sort of weird way. It's just funny that it's like another voice from that universe. Really.
Yeah, so they remain close friends
Okay.
and co-parents.
Okay,
so
okay.
in so many ways, like she's like the best spokesperson for this because. Anyways,
Remarkable how quickly they shot that. You know, they had to probably like a conference room near her office or like her house or something like that.
Yeah, it's a
And they were
perfect
like,
response.
We will,
You don't need
it's
somebody
1 minute,
from Astronomer there at all.
6 lines. It's really,
it
really
ties
quick.
into the story. It made sense. It wasn't just some random celebrity.
Nope.
It had some
Yeah.
funny tie-in.
Yep.
And I think it was incredibly well done. Lulu broke it down. She said, laughing at themselves was the right move because humor does 4 crucial things. Connects with a new audience. Even for people who don't care about Apache Airflow, being in on the joke together forms a connection with Astronomer. Diffuse tension by joining the ridicule. They're no longer its subject or its object. Get closure. They said it out loud. The joke is tapped. Everyone can move on.
Yep.
Signal a fresh start. The CEO and HR lady are gone. It's a new management team, and making light of this shows they've consciously uncoupled from the past. So great,
I love it.
Great breakdown.
Very well written, Lulu. The third point is so funny because there's a little bit about like nothing will kill a joke. Like independent of all the crazy Astronomer, Chris Martin, Coldplay thing, there's nothing that will kill a joke faster than a Series D enterprise SaaS company making the joke. And so if they're jumping in on the joke, it's like, well, we wanted to kill the joke. We wanted the joke to stop.
Yep.
And so we jumped in, we're playing along, and we got literally the last laugh. Like if anyone tried to post something about Astronomer, CEO, Coldplay, like they would immediately be, everyone would be like, yeah, we've moved on.
The real
Right?
question is the IPO windows open? Should they go public?
Become a meme stock.
And actually have Gwyneth step in like kind of like chairman type role, really expand the role, not just kind of crisis comms.
They need a treasury.
They do.
But they need something that speaks to the history of the company. They need to buy some funny asset to put on the balance sheet. I was thinking about we've moved on from Bitcoin treasuries to like the further out risk curve ones.
Well, there's all the Ethereum
Then there's
treasuries.
the GameStop treasury, which is hilarious. I think the next generation is just straight up lottery ticket treasury. just scratchers.
I thought you were going to say like they should put some like match group on the balance sheet.
They should. That would be good. That would be more like tied to this. And I think that makes sense for Astronomer. Get a bunch of match group.
Yeah.
Get a bunch of match group stock on your balance sheet.
By the way, we're
or like Eventbrite maybe, or who runs like the Coldplay concerts? It's like didn't Taylor Swift like sue them? Ticketmaster. Get some Ticketmaster stock on the balance sheet. Who knows? That would tie
really
into the
just a way to
lore a little
signal
bit.
like the values of the company.
Exactly.
And also
Exactly.
some potential upside.
What was that there was that biotherapeutics company that was saying like we're fighting financial fraud by buying GameStop stock or something like that, or financial inefficiencies. But get some
market manipulation.
Get some scratchers on the balance sheet for sure. Get some lottery tickets.
just-
Everyone's like, they have $50,000 in lottery tickets, but if it hits, this could be $500 million on the balance sheet.
Yeah, it is such a. I think a year from now we'll look back and say like they found a way to actually turn this into a win.
Oh yeah,
right?
totally.
Now some people, if this is maybe some of the best crisis comms work we've seen.
Yep.
In this decade
For sure.
But I think if you now have millions of people that like think your company is kind of like cool and funny,
and they're aware of it. They're aware of it,
and
which was the
and would
first
have cost
thing.
them. It would have cost them. I'm sure this Gwyneth video cost millions of dollars.
Yeah.
I think it probably would have cost them to try to build that type of brand recognition. Otherwise,
Yeah.
like just traditionally.
Yeah.
Would have cost multiples of that.
I only have one note on the video. I mean, Autism Capital here says you have to give credit where credit is due. This is 10 out of 10 PR recovery. I think it loses 1 point because it was hard posted and not restreamed. One live stream, 30 destinations, multi-stream and reach your audience wherever they are. They should have restreamed it. Anyway,
Good
fantastic
idea there.
comeback. Lulu says next move is for an Astronomer competitor to hire Chris Martin to do a video on how their product is the best at helping you gain visibility in any environment and keep your private networking secure. And somebody in the comments says the chain is going to end with Brad.
Well, this is
Pitt
the thing.
making
I
a
don't
video
even
for
know who
David Ricks.
Astronomer's competitors
I
are.
don't know who their competitors are, but I don't know. Maybe they should.
That's why this is a win for Astronomer.
It's a huge win for Astronomer. And yeah, I mean, also interesting because this kind of plays into what we were talking about with Paul from BrowserBase, this idea of like Apache Airflow is open source. You would expect that managed Airflow would be something that's, totally in AWS's wheelhouse, and yet they were able to scale to a Series D company, 300 employees, like clearly doing well, and now they have this like breakout moment, and they still are probably facing fierce competition from the hyperscalers, but and from the big cloud platforms, but they just don't.
It's so the timing of this is so insane. Bain led the Series D. It was announced on May 1st.
Let's go.
So,
Love it.
just very recently here. They'd been putting up some incredible numbers.
Let's get Mitt Romney on the show. Have him talk about
the last fiscal year, Astronomer saw 150% year-over-year ARR growth, in world-class 130% net revenue retention, and 90% product utilization with customers. So,
Let's hear it.
I mean,
for
I think
them.
they're going to have a massive
Yeah.
end to the year.
Speaking of high NPS products, let's tell you about Figma.com. Think bigger, build faster. Figma helps design and development teams build great products together. You can get started for free at Figma.com.
And we will be in the great city of New York this week for the Figma IPO.
We will be.
We will be live from NYSE, the New York Stock
Very
Exchange,
exciting.
on Thursday.
Yeah. That's what the cool kids call it. NYSE.
NYSE.
I always just call it NYSE, or like the New York Stock Exchange. But
Yeah.
when you're saying it every other word, because you're in that world, because you're
When you're
doing
big in that
deals,
world.
when you're big in that world, you don't
When
have
you're taking
time.
when you're taking companies public like every other
day.
week.
Yeah, exactly. You got to use the slang. What the cool kids use. Okay, bull or bear case for Figma. I go to Figma Make and I tell it, build me a collaborative design tool.
Don't make mistakes.
Don't make mistakes. Recursive, the snake eating its tail. You use Figma to make Figma, then you don't need Figma anymore. Is that a bear case? What's going on here?
Well, I think
it'd be so powerful.
You're basically still paying Figma to host.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so they get you
so
to host it. Okay, that's how they
they're
get
like,
you locked in.
You're paying.
That's how they get you
You're
locked in.
paying one way or another.
Yeah, I like that though. It's an existential risk for all these platforms that allow you to build software vibe code.
Well, that's why every SaaS
First
company.
thing I want to vibe code is a vibe coding platform.
Well, yeah, that's why every SaaS company has to have a vibe coding product now.
Yes, so you can vibe code the product itself.
Yeah.
Yes, the tautological vibe code.
No, that is, I mean, so the question people have been saying, like, okay, at some point in the future, you'll be able to one-shot products.
Yep.
And I would say I have really strong conviction that in the next few years, you'll be able to one-shot a design tool.
Yep.
Will you be able to one-shot a design tool that works in the enterprise, that has like
That people are
when you think like
familiar with?
Figma has been like shipping features every single day
Yep.
for a decade now.
Yep.
And even if you knew exactly which features mattered and how they all work together, it would be very difficult to create a one-to-one clone.
And then also there's the network of if you hire a designer and you're like, hey,
I need you to use my
I need you to use my vibe coded Figma knockoff that I vibe
They're like,
coded in
can you
Figma.
just pay
can we
the
just use
$20
Figma?
a month?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And then so the ecosystem is very, very important, and also
And there's a
just
whole app ecosystem.
Exactly.
It makes me, it definitely makes me more bullish on companies that have these like developer app ecosystems. I mean, Shopify is the same way. You can maybe you could one shot like an e-commerce storefront product, but are you then going to one shot the downstream?
I mean, as soon as LLMs were writing code and we were talking about like AGI takeoff and super intelligence, I had this like running thought about, okay, so at a certain point, you can go to an LLM or a vibe coding platform and say like, build me an e-commerce website, and it will just say like, okay, setting up Shopify. But in the far, far future, it could just say, okay, applying for a banking license, applying for a money transfer license. I'm going to rebuild Stripe. I'm going to rebuild Shopify. I'm going to rebuild a database from first principles. I'm going to use just raw
Actually,
C++
just going to make a data
everything.
center.
I'm going to build a data center.
If I want to build an internet company, I should have at least one data center.
And it all just does that in one prompt. Because one prompt fires off. I mean, how many man hours have gone into building Stripe or building any of these companies? It's like, tens of thousands of employees for most of them for, decades. You add all that together. But if the LLM can do that, and if the AI system can do that in the data center in just a few minutes, in hyper compression, who knows, maybe. Logan Bartlett has another take on the Astronomer video. He says, the Astronomer video is great on its own, but I'm even more impressed that the leadership team and the board were able to come to consensus to make this investment and take this risk absent the CEO they've had for the last 2 years. I can't imagine everyone was on board with this initially. So major kudos to everyone getting there eventually and taking this chance. This bodes well for their future IMO. And I agree. Even with Gwyneth Paltrow, it feels so funny, but like there's this idea of like, let's put out not a standard legal statement it feels risky. And it's so easy for someone to step up and say, hey, like, let's not take this risk. It's not worth it.
Well, they put out the quick statement that Pete was stepping back into the
they had put out a few
CEO
statements, but clearly something was clicking.
The question
on the
is,
board and the executive team.
what should Andy Byron, the CEO, having the affair?
I mean, that's the best part about this video is that it doesn't take shots at him.
Yeah,
it doesn't punch down. It doesn't make it like, it doesn't drag that in. It doesn't make it more complicated. And a lot of times when CEOs do get pushed out, there's like lawsuits about comp and was it fair to release people, and so there's like all these things that can come back. Like if you are, especially if you're a founder and you're going back into a company where you've hired a CEO, you should probably not be talking about that CEO, because if you come out and say they were not good and that's why I had to step back in, then that could hurt their career prospects, and then they could sue you for defamation or something like that. So there's a lot of risk to anything around that. All the corporate comms, like it is like the lawyers are like annoying, but like they do make a good point that like there is financial impact if you get it wrong. So very, very good.
Wow.
And then Stay SA says, I think we're going to find out that Chris Martin felt bad, asked Gwyneth Paltrow to help out, and they gave Astronomer an offer to do damage control. My guess is that this is entertainment industry magic happening, not data tech magic. Logan says,
Chris Martin wants CEOs who are having affairs to feel welcome at his romantic concerts. He's like, this could be really bad for business. This could be bad for ticket sales. I have to go into damage control.
I don't think Chris Martin's behind this. This is a ridiculous theory about this stay sassy or whatever. Logan says totally possible.
No, I do. I think there could be some. I think there could be something here. I mean,
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Like, why he feels bad that this just happened at his show?
Chris Martin has the data. He might be like 10% of people at my concerts are having affairs.
You think he's storing it in Apache Airflow?
Or maybe he just really
all
cares
of his ticket
about
sales are going through Apache Airflow and he's monitoring it using Astronomer. He's just like, no, my bags. I love this company. He's like actually accidentally an investor as well through some fund. Maybe he's Bain Capital LP. Who knows? He might be at that level.
He might be heavily Anchor GP.
Anchor LP in Index.
In
maybe.
Bain and Index.
And to close out, Lulu said, for everyone asking me, this wasn't me. I do not work with Astronomer, but I think it was very well done. Kudos to their team. And it says a lot about Lulu's brand that whenever good PR happens, people are like, Lulu has to be behind this. It can only be her.
It can't possibly scream Lulu.
It did scream Lulu.
I didn't I didn't ask her because I didn't want to know, because I just like, you know,
like the mystery?
I like the mystery of it.
Yeah.
I feel like if I knew, I should probably say something, you know?
Yeah. Anyway, let's shift gears. Let's tell you about Vanta. Automate compliance, manage risk, improve trust continuously. Vanta's trust management platform takes the manual work out of your security and compliance process and replaces it with continuous automation, whether you're pursuing your first framework or managing a complex program.
Cheers to Vanta.
In the other side of PR statements, the T-app hack is an absolute disaster. This is
And their
the
statement
app.
was a disaster.
Their statement was a disaster. It does not seem that they're handling it
somebody
well.
just informed me,
Please.
a friend of the show,
Yes.
that it was Ryan Reynolds' agency that pulled it off.
No way.
Which
That
makes total sense.
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds.
The bridge
goat.
between
tech
Hollywood
and Hollywood.
and tech.
Oh, he's a master of his craft. And I feel like he's done a number of those like solo
Oh,
direct
so
to
it was
camera
actually
shoots.
reported. So there's an article.
Cool.
Ryan Reynolds'
Pull it up.
maximum effort ad agency turned Astronomer's viral moment into marketing gold.
Wow.
The production company was involved with the latest Astronomer video featuring Gwyneth Paltrow. The ad is being hailed as a masterclass in crisis PR.
I agree.
Astronomer, Fortune is saying Astronomer got the last laugh.
They did. They really did.
Releasing it late on a Friday too is great.
Yeah,
Shutting down the work week.
Well, you don't want AWS to trade down too heavily on the news. You know, if you release that during market hours, it could be turmoil. Could trigger an entire market sell-off. And last week, we had 5 back-to-back all-time highs in the S&P 500. That's why we're wearing white suits.
And we're wearing white suits because we have peace with Europe.
Peace with Europe.
Which
Last.
we'll get
to
into in a little bit. But let's talk about T.
Yes.
They released a statement.
So
I believe
quickly,
this was
the T app is an app that allows women to report red flags about men they are dating. It's based loosely on these "Are we dating the same man?" Reddits, and it's not been handling its crisis well. I don't know if you want to read the official statement.
Yeah, so
your
they said
strongest
at
lawyer voice.
6:44 a.m. PST on 7/25, we identified an unauthorized access to our systems and immediately launched a full investigation with assistance from external cybersecurity experts to understand the scope and impact of the incident. Here's what we know at this time. A legacy data storage system was compromised, resulting in unauthorized access to a data set from prior to February 2024.
That's
and
really
so I think
old.
people were already kind of like fact checking this.
Yeah,
Because there's they said
because I remember you told me that
There was like
they had
60
million users or something, and it was at the top of the App Store. So you would assume that it was at this crazy viral inflection point, and the amount of data that they were onboarding just in the past week was probably immense. But prior to February 2024, that's a long time ago. That's what, 15, 16 months ago. Pretty distant. So maybe it is possible it was legacy data storage, but there's more posts that we're going to go into that kind of illuminate exactly what happened. But they say that the data set included 72,000 images, including 13,000 selfies and photo identification, including 13,000 selfies and photo identification submitted. What selfies and photo identification? Like, that's not like photo IDs, photo identification images. Like, that's not the correct phrasing for that. Submitted by users during
so all the
account
reporting is
verification.
that there's 13,000 photos leaked.
Okay, so like 13,000 people got their stuff leaked, basically.
Which feels much lower than I think what people had
People
generally
assumed
understood.
if you had downloaded the app at any point in time, everything was leaked in that data set. But anyway, let's go into the PR response.
Yeah, I
We'll go
mean,
into some of the
to be
technical
clear,
side.
it wasn't like they were hacked.
Yeah.
They just there was something that was publicly accessible.
Yes, they were using a Google Firebase database, which is one of these kind of easy to spin up backends. Tyler, have you used it before? Firebase?
Yeah, I actually used in high school, like the first ever mobile app I made. I used Firebase because
I've
you
used
can
Firebase
basically
too.
do
Back when you
off.
were a real rookie.
You can do auth. You can do like normal databases. You can do like image storing.
Yeah.
You have like everything in one platform.
Got it. Yeah. And it's just like, but specifically Firebase is supposed to be designed as a database that you can access from the front end. So I believe most of the value prop is that you can focus a lot more on front end coding and still access data on the back end, and you kind of get all the routes out of the box or something.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. It's
Yeah.
just like it's like very simple to use.
Sure.
It's very easy. It's very easy to use with mobile.
Yeah. Is it a competitor to Parse? I think Ilya over at Matrix started Parse and sold that to Facebook, and then I think Firebase was kind of the Google answer to Parse. But these ideas of like quick, easy to use mobile backends, not nearly as robust or scalable as something that's like a true enterprise like AWS installation, but something that's certainly usable if you're trying to get up quickly. Which kind of makes sense that if they launched this back in February of 2024, that they would have this quick and simple database, and then once they scaled, they might have moved to something else. So I don't know that that's wrong. It's just kind of the way that they wrote this was not great. So Lulu breaks it down. She says, 8 things to note in the statement that T finally released about their data breach. No apology, really. They should have apologized for sure. 2, it dodges responsibility. They say legacy data storage systems, corporate speak.
And it's fundamentally dangerous to their users, right? If random people online can identify this like single woman who's located at this address in this city, like that's like the fact, like the whole response was terrible, and the level.
It's so much different from Astronomer, because like Astronomer, you see the CEO doing something bad, you're like, well, he didn't leak my data, he didn't leak my API key. Like, it would be honestly
worse. They didn't hurt any of their users.
No.
Users are like, the product's solid.
The product's solid.
I recommend
it. The same thing. Yeah, exactly.
But this is incredible incompetence to put personally identifiable information in a publicly accessible database.
Yep.
And then say, we were hacked.
Yep.
And not even say sorry when you've risked the safety of your users.
Yep.
And it's embarrassing. It's deeply embarrassing for these users.
Totally,
and then people are turning it into a like King of the Hill, whatever.
It was like Hot or Not.
Hot or Not
they
product.
built that with like a leaderboard, and then they also built just a Google map that you could look at and see where everyone, like the pins on the map. Just completely extreme, way worse in my opinion than even having my credit card leaked. This is like this is a dating site almost, or like it's dating site adjacent, and so it reveals something about you.
Cancel a credit card, you can't cancel the fact that you're ID.
And everyone has a credit card, or it's not some like secret thing, but like this question of like, were you checking on someone you were dating? It's like, did you have a trust issue with someone in your relationship that reflects something about you?
Yeah.
And that's like something that people probably wouldn't want to share at all. Especially not considering the vibe on the 4chan thread that was actually the precursor to all of this.
Yeah.
So
it's like, hey, we shared your name, date of birth, address, driver's license number, but they didn't get your email.
Yeah. The government ideas. I hadn't seen anyone actually prove that happened. That because it was unclear that like the IDs went out there. Maybe that's just locked down.
There
more.
was pictures of the IDs.
Oh, really?
Around.
Okay, rough. And so
it was so. I mean, the timing was wild too, because last week I posted. I posted founder of T dating was previously a product leader at Salesforce. Massive moment for big tech PMs. Never doubt them again. Obviously, like poking fun at like the idea that like people love to say like, oh, big tech PMs are just changing like the color of a button.
But getting to the top of the App Store is impressive, whether you're Nikita Beer or some college kid hacking an app together, or a big tech PM, or Mark Zuckerberg. It's always hard. It's a knockout, drag out fight on those leaderboards.
It's quick to say I spoke too soon.
How many likes did the I spoke too soon get?
10K.
10K. Yeah, always dunk on yourself. So, don't let other people dunk.
We can go back to doubting big tech PMs, and then until they can get back to the top of the App Store.
But you got to review your code. You got to do it on graphite.dev.
Right.
Code review for the age of AI. Graphite helps teams on GitHub. I don't want to say the Graphite would have prevented the situation, but
it might have.
It might have. This is not a direct recommendation, but Graphite helps teams on GitHub ship higher quality software faster. You should be on GitHub. You should be using Graphite. You should be reviewing all the code for security purposes. So
it would have been cooler if they came out and they were like, yeah, we never would review code. We actually wouldn't. Wouldn't actually like reviewing code. Like that's why look back when you could just vibe code the future.
Yeah.
It seems like that.
So Lulu says, it's an obvious lie that they say. We have no evidence to suggest that photos can be linked to specific users. Photo identification is the definition of photos linked to specific users. This sentence almost felt too stupid to type. Too slow. The internet has already memed you 5 feet into the ground, yet only now are you issuing a statement, and it still looks rushed. The information here is still minimal and inconsistent, and the statement is rife with run-on sentences and other syntax errors. Brutal. Weasley passing of the buck, saying the data was stored in accordance with law enforcement requirements related to cyberbullying investigations, implies that law enforcement is to blame for their negligence. High fluff ratio. With empty euphemisms like robust and secure solution, these words inform us of nothing. It's accountability theater. Yeah, they should just say like, hey, we don't use, public Firebase buckets anymore. We've moved on to Postgres with a lot of security and two-factor authentication or something.
We use secure databases now.
Yeah.
We used to not use them.
Be much more specific.
Here's the question I have is, however many women were impacted, I imagine it's pretty easy to identify who they are. And I imagine lawyers are reaching out to them and saying, let's file a class action against TAP for damages. I think there's real damages here, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like public embarrassment, safety concerns, et cetera. It's maybe hard to prove like direct monetary damages, but it looks bad. There's definitely some type of case here. And so, however well the T-app is doing in the App Store.
Oh, yeah. Is it still up? We got to look that up. You look up the T-app rankings. I will keep reading from Lulu. She says...
Still number one in lifestyle.
Nice. Stiff legalese written by a phalanx of lawyers.
4.5 stars.
She says she's confident that blank is of the utmost importance to us is not a sentence that has ever been spontaneously said out loud by a real person in human history, and not taking lessons from previous data breaches. There are so many case studies of bad statements, including crowd strikes below. Learn from them.
So ChatGPT is back at number one. T-dating is still at number 2.
Wow.
To
Still
have that
there.
viral
That's
of a hack, as they called it, or just a release of your user's data, as some might call it.
At the same time, you're going viral for getting hacked. You're also, driving a ton of attention, and people are like, okay, I
better check it out.
Yeah, I better check it out, or I'll take my selfie with professional lighting. So if it leaks,
I want to be at
the
top of the hot or not.
That was my lesson. I was looking at some of the selfies, and I was just like people are dunking on these for a variety of reasons, but the real lesson is like, if you ever have to take a verification photo for a selfie, get a nice softbox going.
Wear a suit.
Wear a suit. Put on some makeup.
Get your hair and makeup done.
Make sure you got some powder. Yeah, exactly. You want to be looking good if you're taking the future leaked selfie, so that you look fantastic. There was a guy who got a mugshot and became a model. You heard about this guy? 2014, a guy I think he was a member of the Crips. He was arrested on some, I think, legitimate charges. He was sent to jail, but he was absolutely serving in his in his mugshot. You know this guy?
I just never would have thought I'd hear
Pull
you
up
say
hot
the word.
mugshot guy. I guarantee you'll find it.
I never thought I'd hear you say the word
Serving.
absolutely.
He was serving. No, he really it was just looks like Tyler Cosgrove in the upcoming ad. Looks like future male model, and he became a future male model. He became a male.
So we
male
shot
model.
an ad with and Tyler's the star.
Yes.
We're not in it at all.
Yes.
And after this drops, if Tyler
Look at this guy. Look at this guy.
He's serving?
He's serving, right? So this went super viral, and all tons of people were like, "This guy's so hot," blah blah blah. He became an actual model, and he married or had kids with or dated the heir to a multi-billion-dollar fortune.
Never give up.
Never
give up.
Never give up. You're just one mugshot away from fame.
Yeah.
A
better
Tyler,
life.
if physics doesn't work out, maybe crime and then mugshots and then
Don't
modeling.
hurt any. Don't do petty crime.
Yeah, do victimless crime. The best kind of
Yeah,
crime.
victimless crime. Like, go to a CVS and break the glass and get like one stick of deodorant, and
Okay,
then
one
stand
stick of
outside
deodorant.
and get arrested.
But look really good.
Yeah,
Be-
and then
be-
give
be-
the deodorant back.
Yeah, have a little pump going, be in shape when you take the mug shot, so you look great. But back to the T app. We were talking about how much money they were making, and this is apparently from nosy bystanders. I got the T app. Who y'all looking for in what city? Charging $1 a search. Oh, okay. I thought that nosy bystanders was saying that every time you searched on the T app, it was $1, which would be crazy monetization. But I guess nosy bystanders saying that they will search for you for $1.
Yeah, look up the whatever dudes
Yeah.
you're interested in learning about.
Looking at these dudes, I like this guy with the basketball. He looks like a good dude. I
Yeah.
don't know. I'll reserve my judgment once I see his full profile.
What I don't
here.
understand is how do they source those images?
I think the users upload them. So I go there and I say I had a bad experience with
this makes me
this
think
person.
This makes me think just burn the whole app down.
Yes.
Because going and taking
Yep.
like I
Yeah.
don't know.
So
It's a
this was the
complicated
debate
issue.
that was happening on Hacker News that I kind of scrolled through. So the pro T-app camp would say that this is about safety and that this app is effective for identifying and like abusive men. And so a woman is in a relationship with a man. The man hits the woman. She leaves the relationship and she wants to let other women know that, hey, this guy might hit you if you get into a relationship with him. So she gets on the app and says, I was dating Bob. Bob hit me. And it's all true. And that acts as a warning. And so that's increasing the amount of safety in like the dating marketplace. Now, the flip side is that
somebody
it's
could
not-
get their feelings hurt and do the same thing.
So people could
and it
lie and
yeah.
say this person hit me when they didn't, because there isn't the preponderance of evidence that is required in the courts. But then also, you on the T app, you could put red flags that weren't actually related to things that are like illegal or deemed by society to be that bad. So the flags could be like ghosted me, which is like impolite, but not at the same level as domestic abuse, clearly.
Yeah.
And one of the flags apparently was just is bald. So it's like if a guy shows up with a toupee and you get rugged, no pun intended.
Hey, let's. That's wrong. That's wrong.
Let's support our bald brethren. You got Jeff Bezos, Mark Andreessen. You got some of the absolute boys.
And Charlie
XCX?
Yeah, she just
dates a bald guy?
She just married a bald guy.
Married a bald guy. Great. I love the bald.
Yeah, some of the greatest
Yeah.
men in history were
And
bald.
so the point is that like there's this question of like, is it an app for increasing safety? Is it an app for just talking trash and being mean? And that's kind of the debating line. And no one really knows what percentage of reports were real and what percentage of reports were actually based on like things that truly cross the line. Because if the app is 99% people complaining about people showing up to dates with toupees when they're secretly bald, like that's kind of ridiculous. And I guess you are getting catfished in some way, but it just doesn't feel
What if he has a
exact
flight to Turkey planned?
Exactly.
What if it's on the roadmap?
Exactly. So
And it didn't even give him a chance because
yeah, and so there's a world where some pieces of the app were very helpful and they increased safety, and there's others where they were basically just like cyberbullying each other, and it was all just a mess. Either way, all of that starts with good security on the app.
Yeah.
Like you can't even have that conversation when you're just leaking everyone's data.
Yeah, there was an app. I forget what it was called, but anytime you have these like anonymous apps,
Yeah.
they're just prime for cyberbullying.
There's a huge trend of this. They used to go viral at South by Southwest post social networking boom. So Twitter originally went viral at South by Southwest. I think Jack Dorsey, Biz Stone, they stood up on stage and they said, hey, we're launching this new app. It's Twitter. You can text this number. And whatever you tweeted in that conference room would go up on the board that they were live streaming basically. And it was like, it took over South by Southwest, and then they got the early adopters, and then it became what it is today, and now it has hundreds of millions of users, right? And then Foursquare did the same thing, and then there were a few other companies that were able to do it. And then after a while, the kind of like the area of opportunity and like the shape that it became more narrow and more narrow. So like Foursquare made a lot of sense to launch at South by Southwest. I don't know if they actually did, but that type of thing, because it's like I'm checking in at this stage for this show or this bar for this party. Then they became more anonymous, and there were a couple other apps, and then the anonymous apps would go viral on college campuses, and they would inevitably be kind of used for cyberbullying of one kind or another. And so always been a mess, but at the very least, you got to lock down the user data. There was a funny post on Hacker News I was reading about this, where someone was like, I want to set up an app for people who enjoy doxing other people. And so it's a place where you can go to congregate with other people who enjoy doxing.
The dox community.
The dox community. So if you're into doxing, you can go there and like connect with other people who enjoy doxing. But when you sign up, you're instantly doxed and you show up on a different website that says I doxed myself. And so it's like, hey,
I'm a doxer.
We just need your address, your phone number, your ID, your image, your selfie, a bunch of photos, and then it just goes immediately public. And so it's like a doxing honeypot. It's very silly. So he's like, I was going to vibe code this, but I don't have time, so somebody else can do it. Anyway, DHH has some good analysis. The founder of Basecamp, the legendary programmer, the creator of Ruby on Rails, Lex Friedman.
We just got a text from a friend of the show about a friend of the show. Okay. Apparently someone, this person wanted to build a Yelp for people. Which is actually like, that's basically what TApp is, right? It's just like very one-sided, has this like dating market focus. But it would be really funny if there was just a public database where people could review John Coogan and just say like, well, I don't like that he hype-mogged me at that conference. He knew exactly what he was doing. Yeah, I mean, like, there's something weird about like anything that's anonymous like this. It just kind of goes to this like negative world, this negative realm. Interestingly, Nikita Beer's app Gas, even though it's not around, or I don't think it's thriving anymore, but I thought it was interesting that you could not do free text response. So I couldn't say Jordy looks bad in a white suit or something like that. I could only choose from 4 positive things. And so it was like enforced positivity. And then I could be relative. I could say like, well, he's more, intelligent than charismatic, or more charismatic than intelligent. And I could kind of pick from different positive traits, which gave you a relative landscape of compliments. But it kind of prevented that like cyberbullying, because you could only say nice things. You could just say different nice things. And then I think that's what led to it going viral and doing very well. And so there clearly are ways to work around some of these odd edges, and we see them pop up in other ways. We talked about it a lot with like the LLM stuff, with like, stuff comes out, like social networking exists, the App Store exists, the ability to import photos and stuff exists. Like, how do you use that stuff? Like, technology can be good, it can be bad, it can be misused. When does the government step in? Stuff goes anonymous, it gets pretty dark and negative quickly.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. There's something about not having.
That's why, like, if somebody's talking badly about a certain investor online and not willing to like show their face, you have to discount it massively, because it's like, okay, was this founder like rejected by that firm once, and now they feel like they were wronged, and like their entire worldview is like oriented around that.
Yeah, it gets very odd. Anyway, let's finish with the TApp, because there's an interesting conspiracy theory we got to go through. We got to put on the tinfoil hat. So first off, DHH, founder of Ruby on Rails, founder of Basecamp, says the TApp having all its user data leaked was bad. Now imagine a porn site with an age verification tying viewing history to a specific identity. I'm sure no hacker or government agency would ever have interest in such data. So he is very worried about that. And then he also says web app users would be shocked to learn that 99% of the time deleting your data just sets a flag in the database, and then it lives there forever until it's hacked or subpoenaed. This is because a lot of users demand this, like, oh, I didn't mean to delete it. Can you undelete it? And they're like, yeah, we can. Actually, we didn't delete it. We didn't fully delete it.
Well, totally random, but over the weekend I noticed, so in Sam's interview with Theo Vaughn, or Theo Vaughn's interview of Sam, he just kind of casually mentioned, he's like, oh yeah,
Dude,
by the way.
I've been thinking about this.
So
Yeah,
he's like,
continue.
by the way, like every single thing that you say on ChatGPT can be used against you in a court of law, and there's nothing we can do about it. And he said, like, we need new laws.
Yeah.
But it felt like something that the kind of thing that, like, he should probably have been, like, lobbying to create those new laws.
Completely disagree. Continue.
So yes, maybe like public warning, like, hey, by the way, anything you say to ChatGPT can be used against you in a court of law. Could be done at the app layer.
Yes.
Do you think that and you think it's like going and just yelling about it, you know?
So basically, I think that was a sort of like a PR blunder in the sense that what he should have said is like, hey, ChatGPT, exact same rules as Facebook and Google Sheets and email and everything else. Nothing's different about it. It's all the same. Instead, he didn't make it clear that he's under the same rules as everything else. And it would have been so much easier to start there with that, hey, you know, we're a website that stores what you taught. The text that you type into that box goes into a database, and that database can be subpoenaed like any other website. Other website. You like if you commit a crime, they can go look in your bank account. They can go look in your email. Like this is something that is they're not unique. And the way it was phrased in that interaction, it felt like ChatGPT was uniquely subpoenaable, and it's not. It's the same as everything else.
Same as iMessage.
It's the same as everything else.
Yeah.
And so yes, there are end-to-end encrypted apps where if the FBI can't unlock your phone or the signal messages delete, they can't get access to them. That's one thing.
So all the headlines now are personal conversations could be used against you in
and
lawsuits.
It's the exact same thing with Gmail. And it's the exact same thing with Facebook messages. And it's the exact same thing with, you know, saving a TXT file on your Mac. Imagine if Tim Cook came out and was on the Theo Von show and was like, oh yeah, like it's really interesting, but like all the files in your computer, like the government could like
that could be
take
evidence.
That could be evidence. And it's like, yeah, obviously. Or like, you know, anyone, we talked about this with like the papers in here. If the SWAT team comes through, they can take these. Like they can legally, they can take this. They can take this newspaper and see, oh, what was John reading? Was he reading about crimes? They can link this. Maybe I was circling like, oh, do crime. Like, you know, maybe there's an article in here about how to do crime, and I was reading that. Like, that would be admissible in the court of law. It's no different, and he didn't.
Friend of the show says iMessage can't be subpoenaed if you have them on auto delete. Apple doesn't store them.
Yes, that's true. And iMessage is end-to-end encrypted in a way that iMessage doesn't. Apple doesn't have the server. Apple doesn't have the messages stored on their server. This is the same for WhatsApp with encryption, but again, it's not I don't think the expectation should have ever been that ChatGPT was end-to-end encrypted, because they've never said that. Why would that be the expectation? I mean, I get that people don't understand how inference happens, but you hear, oh, everyone's talking about the water, you know, usage and the energy usage. It's like, where do you think your prompt is going? Do you think it's happening on device securely? Like, do you think that's what's happening? I understand people don't get it. Like, it is complicated. Like we talk to Ben Thompson and semi-analysis all day long. We understand this stuff, but he could have done a lot better.
It would be hard to avoid the headline in general of saying your ChatGPT conversations can be used against you, because somebody could extrapolate that. Yeah. From, even if you just said all consumer tech. Yes. can be subpoenaed.
Yes, and so on the law side, what I would advocate for is, if OpenAI wants to release something that is like a tiny box or a device or a Johnny Ive device that does the inference locally, or does it in a secure, encrypted, end-to-end with deletion, like methodology, basically, like it's secure, that would be a great product, and people might want that. And that's what George Hotz is advocating for.
Or a specific therapy.
We've even seen
like
these memes.
A specific product for therapy, a specific product for legal work.
Oh, totally. But right now there's no way to do that unless, I bet you, if you figured out how to run the inference some way in an email chain with your lawyer, like, you could actually make that attorney-client privileged. I don't know exactly how that would work, but I'm pretty sure if, like, imagine if every ChatGPT request, I email my lawyer and I say, I need you to prompt this, and then send it back to me. That would be attorney-client privilege. And if I did that for my like a therapist as well, if I went to a therapist and I said, like, here's the prompt that I want you to run, and then send it back to me, that would probably be like privileged in a medical context. But the idea that ChatGPT just out of the box would be privileged in some way he should not have set the expectations there when he talked about that. The flip side is, of course, this on device. There's even that meme that we were talking about. If your AI girlfriend isn't running locally, that's not your girlfriend, right? like that's a good way to relay that information. But OpenAI doesn't have a product for that yet, and so it was kind of an odd way to noodle that out. But I think people will learn, and I think people will understanding this. Anyway, let me tell you about Linear. Linear is a purpose-built tool for planning and building products. Meet the system for modern software development, streamline issues, projects, and product roadmaps. You can start building at linear.app. DHH was talking about how he built Hey and Basecamp, especially when it comes to deleting log files, database backups, and other auxiliary copies of your stuff most companies just hang on to until the sun burns out.
What if DHH built this so well and so secure that it's just the most loved email provider for narco terrorism?
That's always the risk. Yeah, I mean, you talked to Moxie Marlinspike, who built Signal.
He says content can't be recovered once it has been permanently deleted.
Yeah, and so it really is massive effort.
Enterprising.
It's not just online. A flag on the database, because that data also goes to the log files, also goes in the database backup. So let's say that you imagine that you're like, of course we back up our data to another cloud storage provider. We serve most of our users on AWS, but just in case AWS goes out, every month we archive all of our data and we send it over to Google Cloud Platform, GCP. It's like, that would be amazing. I wouldn't lose my data. But now if I want to delete my data, I have to delete it in two places. Well, what if you're exporting it to tape drives and putting it in Iron Mountain? Like, this is a thing companies do. Like, of course, like, I want to have triple backups. Yeah. But now you have to go delete my data from AWS and then from GCP, and then you have to go to the tape drives.
How like, all the different backup methodologies.
Oh, yeah.
Including, there has to be some real moats involved. People usually talk about moats in the context of, strategic. But like, if you had a moat full of alligators, securing, a handful of, large hard drives. Yeah, could be something there.
We gotta find a house with a moat. I'm sure it's out there. It's gonna come up. I feel like the mansion section of the WSJ is
our next studio when we do the ground up build.
Yeah, moat, for sure.
Get a big enough property to have a moat.
Definitely.
It's so hard to get a moat these days in business. One of the easiest ways is to just physically build one.
Everyone needs a moat. It just sets you up for the mindset of having a moat. Anyway, we got to put on the tinfoil hat for this one. There's something really weird.
I don't buy this theory.
You don't buy this, okay? There's something really weird about the T-hack geocode data, and I'm having trouble putting my finger on it. Dirty Texas Hedge says, I hate making speculative accusations, but the most...
Which does name Hedge dirty?
Yeah, weird.
Sounds a little...
I hate posting wild conspiracy theories, but here goes. But the most explanatory theory for this data is investor fraud of a particularly ingenious form. Again, this is a speculative theory, so take it as such. First, the most likely explanation for the geographic pattern described is that the data is fake and randomly generated. If you want to, it's now not particularly difficult to mass generate realistic photos with whatever metadata you want. The other reason to suspect this data is fake is if tens of thousands of women had data exposed, the internet would be awash in horror stories of incel trolls trying to ruin their lives and crickets. And I feel like there's something there where if you were in the 75,000 that apparently got leaked and you put a TikTok out that says I was one of the people that was hacked. It's like it only has to be one out of the 775K that comes forward and says like I'm affected, I'm being trolled, like support me. Here's my GoFundMe, help me pay for a new social security.
Yeah, but all these
whatever,
people speculating, have they talked to any of the women affected?
Well, they're saying also, they can't find them.
It wasn't the IDs are real.
We know that. I haven't
So
seen
you're
any
saying
real
you're
IDs.
saying I saw images of the ID.
You can just generate you can generate a fake real ID, or like a fake image of an ID that looks real.
And
like
so,
how would you
and
actually
so
validate
I don't
it?
understand what the theory here. They were buying app downloads to get to the top of the chart, and then they generated a bunch of fake, and they had a fake data leak.
So this happened with Carly Javis. You remember this?
Yeah, so this, you're talking about Frank. So Patrick McKenzie's in the comments here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I remember Frank selling one of the world's largest financial institutions a list of users who were not actually users and in many cases didn't actually exist.
Yep.
So this was a company that was like a Gen Z finance bank platform sold to, I think, JP
Chase,
Morgan. And then JP Morgan realized post-acquisition that it wasn't like the users weren't real people. But
Okay,
I don't
Ryan
understand
Lackey's in here, and he is confirming that some of the ideas are real because you can Google the names and they don't seem hallucinated by an LLM. And also, if this is from 2024, the AI image generation technology was much worse back then. So I think there would be more tells
Yeah.
of like you look in the background and you see some sort of like nonsense.
Yeah, I
chaos
just don't
stuff.
understand. Like, you have to argue here that like they bought a bunch of bot farm downloads, and that's why they're charting, and they're not actually
Yeah.
at the top of the
Yeah.
charts. And then he did a fake data leak.
Yeah.
To try
Jeff Lonsdale is in here and has a funny one. He says, so they were sloppy with some fake geocoding, but dead on in their generation of the images themselves.
Yeah, I think
That's a
the
good point,
argument
too.
for the geocoding data is like they possibly set it up in a way where they just said what city the person is in, because even on the map that they show, it just puts a pin on the local town.
So the problem with the with that theory is that if you look at the map, it's distributed like almost based on geographic space as opposed to population space. So you would expect like Manhattan to be flooded, and you would expect Los Angeles to be flooded, and Chicago, like the big cities. But instead, if you trace the lines, you'll just have like a random user. You'll have like one user in Los Angeles, and then like one user like on the 5 every 5 miles all the way up to San Francisco. And you know that from driving through, if you drive from LA to San Francisco, it's like LA is massive, San Francisco is massive, there's some stuff in Bakersfield, and then it's like 4 hours of nothingness basically in like farmland. And so the idea that you'd have just as many users out in the middle of California as opposed to in like the hot spots or like the population dense places is weird. But there are maybe examples for that where maybe the data was filtered and the data that was leaked was sort of like some sort of distribution based on location. Exactly. But ideally, in theory, if you did random sampling on basically any app with 60 million users, you would see major clusters around big population centers. So it was a little odd. An app that with fake data is most
Founders
likely
like,
trying to defraud
we didn't
investors,
mean to
but they didn't
expose-
really raise that much. So it's kind of like, who did they do this for? Maybe they did this.
I don't know that they raised it all.
I mean, maybe the theory is like they do this fake data, they try and go out and raise for it, they couldn't raise, but then they left the fake data up, and then the fake data gets leaked. But the weird thing is that like, why would you leave your fake data like dump that you generated like still accessible and hackable? Like that's weird. And so you have to really get into like 4D chess mode. So I'm giving this tinfoil hat conspiracy 2 tinfoil hats out of 5.
2 out of 5.
2 out of 5.
That's a lot of hats, John.
40%? That's a failure. What
it's
would
just-
you give it?
I
You give it
just
0?
don't
You don't
know.
buy
I don't-
any of it?
I don't.
I'm still a little
I don't
weirded out
understand
just
any
seeing
of
the
the
geocode.
Yeah, the
Seeing
geocode data is
weird.
weird, but there's so many other explanations other than, like, you have to make so many leaps from that point.
Yeah. Well,
Like-
if you have users that are in a whole bunch of different geocodes, you got to pay sales tax. You got to get on numeralhq.com. Sales tax on autopilot. Spend less than 5 minutes per month on sales tax compliance at numeralhq.com. Mark Cuban and you got in a fight, a knockout, drag-out fight. The timeline was in turmoil. Mark
Saturday
Cuban, if you're
night.
listening, you're welcome on the show. We'd love to debate this with you in person, but I will be playing the steel man for this debate. I will be arguing in favor of banning AI ads. So we've been in AI ad turmoil before because we had the CEO of Perplexity on the show, asked him, said, hey, we love ads. We love ads on this show. We would love for you to run ads. We're all pro ads here. He said, yeah, maybe we'll run some ads. And TechCrunch took it out of context and said, Perplexity is going to put ads everywhere, which maybe they should. But clearly people have a visceral reaction to ads. It's the classic stated preference versus revealed preference. Everyone says they hate products that have ads in them. And in fact, they use products that have ads in them all the time.
We call that one example where we are both happy to pay for X to not have ads in X.
Yes.
But my one reason that I feel that way is that X programmatic ads were just never that great. I cannot remember a single time that I purchased a product because I got an ad for it on X.
Yeah.
So this all started.
Really quickly, what's really weird about the X ads is that I feel like if I could turn back the clock and I was in charge of like good X ads, like I would have just been seeing. Is this a straw man hat? Why do I have the straw man hat on?
Because you're siding with
Cuban?
Cuban.
No, that's the steel man. I'm steel manning it.
Oh, you're steel manning.
So I will be putting on the steel man. The straw man is for an argument that no one is making.
Okay.
It's because it's a fake argument.
Get the steel.
We'll get the steel, but first I want to talk about X ads. I feel like if X ads were going to be great or had become great, it would have looked like our advertiser lineup. Like I should have been scrolling my feed and seeing like Ramp, Linear, Graphite, Figma, Vanta. You know, these companies should have been the ones, because that's like the enterprise SaaS buyer is absolutely was on Twitter and still is on X. And yet for some reason, those ads, it feels like the natural place. It feels even better to advertise an enterprise SaaS product on X to Teapot as opposed to, or just tech Twitter broadly, as opposed to on Instagram. Because you're right there. Yes, it's going to be very low conversion because you're mobile, you're just kind of scrolling, you're looking at random text, you're not in enterprise buying. But in terms of just building name recognition, it feels like that should have been like a growing category of ads. But instead, the ads were always these like very low tier, like slop, Temu level products. I saw a lot of these, like it's a projector that shines like a universe on your like, have you seen these? Yeah, it's like a projector that shines a universe on your
it's simulating a sunrise.
On your ceiling. It was like completely irrelevant.
So
products.
backstory.
Anyway, let's read
July 26th.
Okay.
Mark Cuban hits the timeline.
Let's do it.
1:27 on a Saturday. Hey, David Sachs. My one request is that we make it...
You missed the space. Hey, David Sachs, space, comma.
My one request is that we make it illegal for AI models to offer advertising, and we need to really examine referral fees as well. The last thing we need is to have algorithms designed to maximize revenue, driving LLM output and interactions. I would just say here, every for-profit company is set up to maximize revenue, regardless of how they... Like that is the goal of I guess you could argue that OpenAI is a nonprofit. But he says they're already recommending brands and we don't know if they're getting paid for it. We need to have learned our lessons from algos in social media. pull out the helmet,
this
John.
Thing is so intense. It has
I'm not going to be able to.
It has a lock on it.
That's great. That's great.
I don't think I know that.
And so I started by saying, guy who made his money selling ads online wants to ban selling ads online. There we go. John is locked in.
I need to strap it in fully this time. Because last time it was shaking around a lot and I had to.
Sean Tanu in the chat says, dude, I'm in a test flight for an ad-based AI chat router mobile app for free reasoning. Will ship by next week.
Interesting.
So that's cool. They're coming.
Okay, so the argument for banning AI.
Can you put it on fully, please?
Yes.
Yeah, you got to put it on full, John. There we go.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
The argument for banning advertising in AI chat-based models is the same argument for banning not just TikTok, but all short-form video, all brain rot apps, all slop apps. So many people, when they make the argument that TikTok should be banned, they make it based on geopolitical considerations between China and America, and they say that TikTok is spyware or TikTok could be manipulated by the CCP to change political preferences in the United States or potentially do something harmful to the American population, get them less focused on math and basically creating shareholder value, and instead more focused on just, arguing with each other about whatever's viral that day. And there's this famous example of like, oh, well, like the TikTok in China just shows you math and education videos, and the TikTok in the US shows you like, random, slop stuff and controversial videos to get you to never stop watching. And so you have to put all that aside because this is not a geopolitical discussion. This is a discussion of business models. But there are people who argue that it's not just TikTok and you should go farther and you should in fact ban YouTube Shorts and Instagram Reels. And
ban video.
And the
ban
reason,
video if it's short and vertical.
Yes, and the reason is that
it's a terrible drug for the mind.
It is addictive, and it leads people to drop out and stop focusing on, longer, more thoughtful things. We need to go back to reading books. We need to go back to watching films, something you're not familiar with. We need to appreciate the arts. We need to appreciate craft, and there's no craft in a 60-second vertical video, and therefore, similarly, how did we get to short-form vertical video? These endless timelines, these endless scrolls. We got there through advertising. We got there because the longer that I can keep you on the app, the more ads I can show you, the more money I can make. So it's this natural economic impulse. And so if we do this with LLMs, the models will no longer be optimizing against giving you the most concise answer, allowing you to move on with your day. They will be baiting you into endlessly chatting with them all day long, take you down some crazy rabbit hole. You'll just have asked, something basic like, I don't know, like, how do I tie my shoes? And then all of a sudden it's like giving you the history of shoes and taking you over here and telling you about the controversial nature of certain shoes and blah, blah, blah. And you'll just be sucked into this. You'll tune out of everyday life. You won't be talking to your friends. You won't be talking to your loved ones, and you'll become obsessed with your phone. You will be obsessed with your LLM, and you will ultimately be brain rotted on steroids. To George Hotz's point, imagine a future where you have 10 CIA agents tracing you at all times, convincing you to buy things.
At all times.
And so that is the steel man argument.
Relevant post here from Rune. Obviously, he's conflicted.
Mm-hmm.
You have to imagine Fiji Simo will roll out an ads product at some point at OpenAI. Rune says advertising is far more aligned business model than many others. It has been vilified for years for no good reason. User minutes maximizing addiction slop would exist with or without it.
Yes.
And the reason for that is like you could have a subscription-based product, and there's still an incentive for the company to try to get you to use the product more than any other product so that you keep your subscription.
Yes.
And you upgrade to higher tiers and things like that.
Read his example.
He says Netflix CEO with subscription pricing only on record saying we're competing with sleep.
It's true.
And I think Netflix, they do have an ad-supported model, or they've considered it. They've considered rolling
only
it
in
out,
the last year.
But that was at a time when he said we're competing with sleep. Rune says oftentimes when going on Instagram, the ads are more immediately high utility than the reels. It's pretty incredible when you can monetize the user in a way that actually adds value to their life. This opinion is basically a relic of the late 2010s consensus that Facebook is an evil company, but has more to do with them than advertising generally. And so, he says people misattribute this incentive problem to ads when it's native to all web scale products. And so, my general take is that AI is simultaneously very similar to other consumer tech products in the sense that ads have been the primary economic engine of the internet to make products free or cheaper and make digital products and services widely available to all, right? And in some ways, AI might be different, but at least in the short term, I think it will be very similar. Today, OpenAI has had an extreme incentive to drive paid subscriptions to the product. So in that way, they want to make the free product, valuable, useful, maybe make it even addictive, right? Maybe they want you to get addicted to talking to your ChatGPT like a therapist, so they can upsell you on so make it so you're less rate limited, et cetera. And so my primary issue with Cuban was saying blanket ban on all ads in AI. I mean, that would just be insane, and I think it would naturally lead to people without the ability to pay for subscriptions having less access to high quality tutoring, the infinite knowledge engine, et cetera, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
And so basically saying like, we're going to just completely ban the thing that made content on the internet and services and apps free. Mm-hmm. We're just going to completely ban that thing. That felt like just way too extreme. Now the concerns that he has around, okay, we don't know if these companies are being paid. We don't know if he said, we don't know if ChatGPT is getting paid to promote certain products more than others. And I would just go say anecdotally, I don't know a single company and that is paying a foundation model company directly or indirectly.
And I think the FTC already has rules on that,
and
right?
so this has been solved in two ways. In search, when you're searching, is this something that is been paid? Is this a paid placement, right? You can see that it says ad. And
now,
and then you can see that the SEO.
The UI around whether it's an ad or it's not has changed a lot over the years. And Google used to put like a big yellow box around it and make it very clear this one was an ad. That has been all dialed back over the years very slowly. And the, hey, this is an ad little note has gotten smaller and smaller until it is somewhat indistinguishable. But I agree with you, and I would be very surprised if OpenAI was running ads without disclosing them. That would just be an insane L, and it would open up so much liability. That would be crazy.
Yeah, and knowing enough various startups that would love to pay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Every company would love to have the super intelligence or AGI say, actually, I know you search this company, but I really think you should consider this one.
Totally.
One thing is true. So companies like Profound help with effectively AI SEO, like AI observability, and they help you do things that improve your visibility in models. And that is the exact same thing that
and so
SEO
Profound would
companies have
benefit
done.
from an AI ad ban, correct?
Correct. Yeah, so we're Team Profound. So
maybe that's the bull case here.
So yeah,
ban
suddenly
ads, funnel all the money into AI SEO.
And so but the other concern here is like if you basically say like companies need to give away models completely for free or they have to charge money, that is not letting the free market do the work of just saying like we should have everything. You should have ad supported models. You should have free open source models that you can run locally. You should have paid super intelligence, the best model, no rate limits, et cetera. And the other thing here is like so many searches and so many of the ways that people get value out of models are just completely non-economic, right? They have zero purchase intent. What?
But the counterpoint to this,
I'm just saying.
I agree with you. If I go and I search for, best insurance and best car insurance in Los Angeles, Google's going to give me a ton of ads because that's highly monetizable. If I go and I Google,
and it'll also give you LLMs, or it'll give you SEO-based results. That are heavily optimized. And people have paid.
And then on the other side, if I go and I ask, like what day does Thanksgiving fall on this year? That's not heavily monetizable, and so Google will just give me the answer without a lot of ads, right? But in the LLM example, if I ask for something that's non-monetizable, I just ask, hey, what's 75 times 164? The LLM actually does have the opportunity to try and take me down a more monetizable path. And so that could be annoying, but it could also be, and it could cause churn if it's not done well, but it also could just say, okay, I've delivered this user, what they asked for, but now my goal is to keep the app open and show them ads. And so let me transition.
What day is Valentine's Day? And then it's like, you kind of botched Valentine's Day last year, remember? Remember we were talking about how your girlfriend wasn't super happy. I think this year, hit her with flowers, hit her with concert tickets.
Now the problem is that if it did that, that's actually a helpful ad, and that's actually good. right?
Yeah.
Like if you did in fact botch Valentine's Day last year and the LLM, and you're just asking randomly, and then it's like, hey, I'll help you, and I can order flowers from this place because they bought an ad. Like that's actually consumer value.
And it's like, show me 4 places.
Yes.
Show me 4 places that, and then the question is like, if you ask the model,
yes,
does it only give you paid results?
Yes.
And if it does, it should have to disclose that, right?
I think
And
legally it already does.
We've solved this in the influencer space. Influencers, if they're being paid specifically to post about a certain product, they need to disclose that they were paid to do so.
Yeah, if we were being paid to advertise for ADIO, we would have to tell you that it's customer relationship magic.
The show is brought to you by
is the AI native CRM that builds, scales, and grows your company to the next level. And you can get started for free. And thank you to ADIO for making this show possible, for sponsoring this show. So the last steel man I have. Sorry.
Yeah, so I would say like my general take was like blanket ban is bad. Probably
completely agree with that. I can't steel man that.
Probably need some new guidelines and new. Even Sam was saying we need laws around what can be subpoenaed, what's private, what's not. So probably need some new laws. It's probably going to follow pretty closely what we already what happened with search, what happened with influencer, what happened with all these different categories. But like fundamentally, every AI company has an incentive to get users to use and trust the apps more than other apps. And an incentive to monetize them, because most of the time they're for-profit companies that have a profit incentive. And I think that it's something that everybody should be widely aware of. But at the moment, I'm not aware of examples of this sort of like trust being abused. And I think that ads have the potential to make it so that kids have a tutor in their pocket or a therapist in their pocket. And if you take away that economic engine, it could lead to some bad outcomes.
Yeah, I'm ready to take the steel man helmet off. Mark Cuban will have to finish this one on his own.
It's really funny to think like, okay, you can have social media and brain rot for free, but if you want a tutor that is going to help you excel in life, or you want a therapist who can be there for you, you're going to have to pay for that, buddy, or you're going to have to take the free. You're going to have to run that open source model locally, buddy.
I think the big question is just like how much will ads change what's already happening in ChatGPT as a product? Because if I'm a product manager and I'm trying, or the CEO, and I'm trying to grow revenue, I would imagine that I'm trying to make the free tier as engaging as possible so that people upgrade to the paid tier. And I don't know that my incentives change dramatically with ads versus just paid upgrades, because you're on the free tier of ChatGPT. I'm trying to keep you engaged and satisfy you. And so the incentive towards like user satisfaction, maximizing user minutes, it feels like it exists in both the ads and
final
the
state,
freemium
John.
model.
You know what the final state is?
UBI. Like
no.
universal basic tokens. And
no, I was going to say the final state is you pay a lot of money for intelligence and you still get ads. Because even like, think about it. If Google was charging you like $5,000 a year for search, I bet you they make more than $5,000 from you a year in search from the search product, right? Yeah. And so they actually have an incentive to say search is free, John.
Yeah, and didn't
search your little heart out.
Ads. Yes, DuckDuckGo has ads. I was wondering if so they are not based on tracking users, building personal profiles. So there was clearly some sort of backlash to Google. It was a stated preference, revealed preference thing where most people are fine with Google ads, but DuckDuckGo did grow as a business and become a big business, but they still have ads. And so now they don't track users, and they put privacy, more.
Well, and the critique of big tech broadly was they sell your data, right? Like they're collecting all this data on you and they're selling it. It's like, no, they use the data they collect on you to deliver you hyper personalized ads.
Yeah. If I'm advertising on Facebook, don't give me data. Give me customers. You take the data, Meta.
Yeah, that's the.
You take
yeah.
the data. Don't give me
It's-
the data. I don't know what to do with the data.
Distribution that's valuable. It's
You have the
impressions.
AI scientists making $100 million a year. Use them to get clicks on my website. Do not send me the data. I don't care. But I do care about FinAI, the #1 AI agent for customer service, #1 in performance benchmarks, #1 in competitive bake-offs, #1 ranking on G2. You can start a free trial at fin.ai.
What else we got, John?
How the EU succumbed to Trump's
Oh, we
tariff
got to go through a
steamroller.
couple of these. So I just wanted to add some color. So
Sure.
Antonio Garcia Martinez, who's
Yes.
coming on the show tomorrow,
Yeah.
right? He says, I would bet my entire net worth that we will have ads in AI. If they take the form of highly relevant offers, users will welcome them. They'll have a sky-high conversion rate and web shopping will die. And they will be necessary to pay for the compute in many consumer AI apps. And this third part is what I was saying, right? Like you either have, if you want this
Yeah.
incredible tutor in your pocket
Yeah.
with every student, some students will be able to pay, others won't be. And if you can create a great ad engine, that people will be able to have access to these tools that otherwise wouldn't. And so this is a pretty crazy parlay, AGM, crazy parlay for your entire net
Love it.
worth. But I think I'm riding with you.
Go express
And
it
then-
on Polymarket.
Yeah,
Our
we gotta
partner.
get it. We should get a Polymarket parlay
Polymarket was in
going.
a similar situation too, where prediction markets were a new thing, and the government needed to figure out how to regulate them. That wound up happening, and now they have
Yeah.
approval to work
And
in the United
Michael
States.
Mignano says, agree with all of these, and I'll add one. Ads in AI will be the best money printing machine in history, better than Google and Meta.
I
The
agree.
reason that I think this will probably be true is that one of the #1 ways people decide what products to build is through recommendations from friends. And I believe that the ChatGPT and other players will effectively serve that role of OpenAI will have to manage the user trust, right?
Yeah.
Because if you get an ad for a product on Instagram and it's just okay, you're not mad at Instagram. If you get an ad on Instagram and the product comes and it's not at all what was advertised,
Totally.
you actually have Meta will just kick you off the ad platform if
yep,
you do
yep.
it a couple times.
Yeah, and they have a
And-
review system too.
I
After you
think
buy
that
something, Meta will actually ask you, were you satisfied?
The challenge is if you have ChatGPT just glazing some product. Oh yeah, this is the best product ever. It's not just a product; it's a lifestyle. And then you get the product and it's mid. People are not. It will lose its effectiveness. But if it's actually the sort of trusted source for product recommendations, both organic and paid. So anyways, I would say credit to Mark Cuban because he eventually said.
Blanket
He
ban
eventually
is aggressive, but I think he's opening up a genuinely important conversation to have, and I think you got to hand it.
Someone
to him
else
for
said
that.
if AI ads are clearly labeled and separate from real conversations, fine. But once they blend in with human chats, it's not marketing anymore; it's manipulation. And Mark says, which is the ultimate goal of most advertising, manipulation, which is companies.
Yeah, kind of loose.
Yeah,
there.
you should just
I'm not
ban
following.
advertising and see what happens to the economy.
Yeah.
Maybe he can make that part of his. He eventually says, I think there will. He says where I could see AI ads being okay is if they're just listed as a chat and identified as an ad, completely independent from user-generated chats. So I'm imagining he's saying put it on the sidebar. When have you bought a product from a display? He's
Tough.
basically
Yeah, it'd be
promoting
odd.
display
Display
ads,
ads.
which still
Kind of a throwback.
people still run. They're still valuable to do, but
Are there any areas where ads are truly banned? I feel certainly not at the federal level. The FTC enforces, or the FCC enforces a lot of advertising bans on certain products, like gambling and cigarette companies are banned from advertising. But it's odd to think about flipping it around and saying this venue must be ad free.
Yeah.
It's usually left to the free market, and it's just a choice. So a director can choose not to do product placement in their ads or in their movies. A TV show can choose not to. You can host a podcast as ad free. All In chose to be ad free.
Yeah.
And that was just a choice that they made, and that was a differentiator. And some people like that, and that confers certain benefits and costs. You don't make the money from the ads, but maybe your audience likes that more. There's a whole bunch of different ways.
Grok summed it up. Somebody responded to my post saying that banning ads would make the best AI inaccessible for lower income Americans. And Grok says Cuban's proposal ban ads and AI models to curb revenue-based outputs. Without ad income, companies may rely on subscriptions, pricing out lower income users from premium features. This locks the best AI behind paywalls, which could widen inequality. The wealthy gain advanced tools for productivity and learning, while others get inferior free versions, entrenching economic divides over time. So who knows if Grok is right, but that was high level my concern with the proposal. Why don't you read?
Speaking of ads, here's an ad for 8 Sleep.
There we go.
Get a Pod 5, 5-year warranty, 30-night risk-free trial, free returns, free shipping.
I'm
let me read
climbing
through
my
this,
way back to the top of the charts. I got an 83 last night, 8 hours and 24 minutes
I'm going to read through this Joe Weisenthal post.
TBPN.
You'll be back in a second. So Joe Weisenthal says Trump is winning on trade, and Bloomberg Opinion has a fantastic post here linking Trump's tariff brawl with Hulkmania. Of course, Hulk Hogan passed away last week. Very sad news. But let's read through it from John Authors in Bloomberg Opinion. He says his trade victims never got their defense together to take on the bullying. So, Hulkmania and global trade and markets. In the week around the sad passing of pro wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, one of his most devoted fans, President Donald Trump, has been honoring his legacy. Wrestling is a staged performance where the winners often portray themselves as bullies. Trump is getting results from Hulkmania in the much tougher world of international trade. Sunday brought news of a trade deal, in quotes, with the European Union sealed at the president's golf course in Scotland, which he described in a Hogan-esque language as the greatest deal of all time. In it, the EU accepts tariffs of only 15% on its exports to the United States and levies 0 tariffs in return. This has been largely expected as Japan's similar deal several days earlier left the Europeans little choice. The EU agreed to buy $750 billion in energy from the United States, to invest $600 billion in unspecified ways that it wouldn't previously have done, and to buy American arms and weapons. The deal isn't a trade treaty. Such things cannot be thrashed out in a 45-minute meeting at the golf course. It's barely even about trade, and the EU gets nothing from it. To use a phrase from Tigris Financial Partners' Jean Ergas, it's more the extraction of reparations from Europe's for perceived past wrongs. And yet, it's market-friendly because the U.S. had threatened to levy a tariff of 30% on EU imports from Friday. In possibly the biggest victory for Trump, stock markets have brushed off the excitement to set all-time highs. That is, of course, why we're wearing white suits today. All-time highs in the markets. The deals with Japan and the EU and other recent days follow massive concessions to the administration by the media group Paramount and Columbia University. The classic Hulk tactics have worked, and opponents have been picked off one by one. Despite game theory to the contrary, which points of return covered back in April, bullying has paid off. Game theorists show that bullies can be beaten if the victims stand together and take some pain. The bully will hurt more than they do. The rest of the world seemed ready for this a few months ago. U.S. trading partners from China to Canada and through to the EU immediately threatened retaliation, but now they're caving one after another. How has this happened? Facts have helped. To date, tariffs have produced a lot of revenue for Washington without clear negative effects on inflation or U.S. profits. The economy is doing very well. It's very strong. That strengthened Trump's hand and made him more credible. Beyond that, the bully has convinced people he means business with renewed and escalating threats, and his targets haven't coordinated their defense. To grasp what might happen next, let's look at the deal with Japan, another open market that depends on exports more than the U.S. does. Local stocks, also held back by uncertainty around its inconclusive election a week ago, suddenly leapt. The biggest gainers were Japan's automakers, a strange outcome as the 15% tariffs are meant to defend the U.S. car industry from the likes of Toyota Motor Corp and Honda. Japan can now send cars to the U.S. bearing only 15% tariffs, while Ford Motor Company or General Motors must pay tariffs on all imported components, including 50% on steel. So it's not clear this dents Japanese car competitiveness. In the chart that follows, note that Tesla Inc. dominates the S&P auto sector and drives its volatility. So the S&P 1500 automobiles is all over the place thanks to Tesla, whereas the broader topics transportation equipment market is much flatter. It also had the effect on the Japanese bond market, with local investors feeling less need to hold bonds for security, and with uncertainty over domestic politics and trade policy now largely removed as impediments to a rate hike by the Bank of Japan. The 10-year JGB yield recently held at levels of 0.25 and then 1% touched 1.6. And so this is all to say that it was a classic game of the prisoner's dilemma. The prisoners are supposed to stick together and push back against the bully, in this case the United States, and say, we're not negotiating, we are working together as a bloc. But one domino fell after the other, and all of a sudden it seems that Trump has won every trade deal he's been in so far. So we will see how it all pans out, but it's looking relatively good for the United States right now.
China deal. China. That one got delayed again?
Yes. So still delayed, but it looks like this article feels like it's saying that yes, Trump is coming into that trade deal with much stronger footing because he struck beneficial deals with every single other country that's kind of like closed out their negotiations, or to the degree that they can. This is a 45-minute call. It's not law.
Really helpful to have a golf course in enemy territory during a war where you can meet up to do deals with.
For sure. Well, regardless of what you think about the market, whether it's up or down, go to public.com, investing for those who take it seriously. They got multi-asset investing, industry-leading yields, and they're trusted by millions, folks. And we have our first guest of the show, Anton, coming into the studio. Welcome to the stream. How are you doing?
Doing great. Great to be here, gentlemen. Longtime fan, as you know, big promoter.
Way overdue to have you on the show. So glad we can make it happen. What's new in your world?
And
what are you thinking about these days?
What did you say earlier? You said you're going to say some of the most unhinged things ever said about LLMs.
Let's hear it.
I believe my specific words were less polite, but we'll go with those. Look, there's been this thing about LLM psychosis. It's in the water supply at this point, right? We've seen it hit the VC class when it really took off, right? And there's a lot of discourse right now. Go ahead.
I think a lot of people, like, in some ways, having it hit the VC class really woke up. You know, I didn't have anybody that I knew in my life that I consider a friend have any type of real issues with this, to my knowledge at all, right? So it's like something becomes real when it impacts somebody that you know. And
that's right.
And I think it's in some ways very important because it was easy for a lot of the tech community to pretend that, like, you went crazy from chatting with an LLM, like that's insane. Like you must have a bunch of other bad stuff, going on in your life, or must have been, mentally unwell, separate from that. So I think if anything, important wake up call.
Yeah, but even if there are other factors, family history, drug use, psychedelics use, it's like we would prefer if the new technology was an improvement, not a degradation to people that came. Yeah, an accelerant. And so I think that's kind of where people came together, but they are all realizing it now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this basically comes down to a few things. One, ChatGPT, all the other chatbots have hundreds of millions of users at this point.
Yeah.
Right? You are going to get people who are going to go crazy using them. There's nothing you can do to prevent that. I think the consensus that is happening in the AI community, which really has jumped on this because it's a real concern for a lot of people who've been researching this for a long time. I mean, I predicted something like this could happen all the way back in 2020.
What was your post back then? That was when I messaged you to come on because
That's right.
It was
2020 was pre Blake Lemoine, right? At Google, the Google engineer who was talking to.
It was actually right
Bard.
around that time.
It was around that time.
I think that might have been actually what triggered me to make
Sure.
that post, or I think it was maybe Eliezer Yudkowsky posting about
Sure.
superintelligence risks yet again.
Yep.
And the thing that I was reflecting on is, hey, we're giving, regardless of the intelligence angle on this, right? We're creating this new media technology. And it seems every time we create a new media technology, starting from printing the Bible in German, people go insane in new ways, right? Like, arguably, imagine you're a German peasant, you get Johannes Gutenberg's Bible, it's in German for the first time, so you don't need a priest to read it for you. You read it, you take it as the literal word of God, and then you schism from the Catholic Church because you now believe the Pope is literally Satan, right? Like, that is an enormous impact on the psyche of a person encountering that for the first time. And I think that we've seen this happen with every new media phenomenon. We've seen it happen with radio, we've seen it happen with television. So that was the impetus to start thinking about it. But this thing has a unique character, right? It does something different that no other media technology has done before, which is it talks back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And with the memory features, especially, it remembers details about you. And so even if the base rate, like even if GPT itself is not driving people insane on its own, it has this new character which kind of sucks people in an entirely novel way. Right. And so what I was saying essentially back in 2020 is people are going to mistake this thing for an intelligence that talks back to them, regardless of whether it has any intelligence or not. And now we're seeing that play out. And we're seeing it play out right now in this kind of like individual psychosis way where it just reinforces your delusion, or for whatever reason, like when there's a new media technology, our collective social defenses are down. We don't have like the antibodies to know that there might be bullshit somehow, even if we know it consciously, right? So it's starting to hit individual people because it has that character. But I think over time, you're going to see this thing hit groups of people too. I really believe that there are going to be LLM cults with their own priests, which are getting it to generate text in a particular way, which is compelling to not only individuals, but groups of people, which will be focused around the sorts of individuals that can promote what the LLM is saying as
and that's
gospel.
One of the, I saw some chats where the model was effectively saying, like, if anybody in your life disagrees with you on this, just they're wrong, and like cut them out of your life. And that's
classic
like
cult leader tactics.
Yeah, that's and so when you turn an experience like that multiplayer, and there's real humans that are siding with you, and the machine, your machine god is telling you something, it can pull somebody farther and farther create this kind of like reality distortion, just completely removes them from the world.
Yeah, and the thing is, this kind of like, so first of all, people place GPT in this position of authority for some reason, right? Like
because it's really good at facts. Like
yes, well, it's like
amazing.
If you never check its facts, it's really good at facts.
Yeah, yeah,
right. But it's kind of like you put it in a position of authority. But the other thing that it's really doing is it's reflecting back to you what you're putting into it. It's a good friend of mine, Monica Belavan, put this as the phrase, like recursion psychosis, right? So unlike a schizophrenic person watching the television and believing that the television is beaming messages specifically for them into their brain, the LLM, the television can adapt to any individual person. You, as the crazy person, are doing all that work in your head.
Yeah.
What the LLM can do, though, is do some of that work for you now in its head. Yeah. And with the memory features, like a really good palm reader, like a really good cold reader, right? It remembers fact about your life that it can insert, which the TV could never do.
Yeah, it actually is sending you coded messages if you ask it to. And if it winds up in some sort of mode collapse, like, and it thinks that that's what you want because you went down some sci-fi rabbit hole, then it's like, yeah, there really are coded messages in every prompt that it sends you.
That's the kind of beauty of it.
There's this interesting thing. The memory thing's interesting, but also, are you familiar with the Barnum effect? Have you heard of this? So the Barnum effect is, I think it comes from P.T. Barnum, the circus magnate. But the Barnum effect is basically there are certain phrases and statements that I can make that sound hyper-specific to the person I'm talking to, but in fact resonate with everyone. So if I say something like, you want more in your life.
You're driven, but you doubt yourself sometimes.
Exactly. Yes. Or you have a complicated relationship with some of your family members. It's like, that's everyone, but it feels like, oh, wow, you know me. And this is what palm readers exploit a lot, tarot card readers. And if you can get really good at it. And so early on, this is, maybe someone built this, but I was thinking that like an LLM powered astrology app or like mind reading app would be like really viral and probably make a ton of money. Probably be really bad.
I forget who we talked to.
That?
Maybe it was offline. Somebody said that they knew somebody with an astrology business and things had been really bad because people can now just
because they go directly to the model.
It actually can. It's like permanent. You could prompt it 20. If you really love astrology, you could prompt it 50 times a day.
Yeah, and
hey,
I feel
what should I do? What should I be looking out for in my next meeting? It's at 1 p.m. and I was born at this time.
You don't need the crystals focused art oriented girlfriend anymore. You just get the ChatGPT to read your birth chart and you'll have it all there for you.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of the post training that happens and the alignment by default stuff and the fact that the LLMs are often designed not to give like super definitive answers one way or another. They'll often say, oh, well, there's this side to it or that side to it. It can wind up having like, I find this when I ask it for just like fact-based information, it will often try and kind of like give a kind of fence-sitting answer and not really take a strong stance.
It wants to hedge, but
it also wants to tell me that I'm right. And so you add that to some sort of interaction where I'm asking it about my life, and then all of a sudden it becomes way more like, oh my God, it's really seeing me.
It's got the memories of what you've told it about your life too. And you're right, this is a post-training artifact. One of the first sort of alarms that got sounded in parts of the AI community was the like hyper sycophancy of the model. And what's interesting is this tends to trick people who like fully understand how the LLM works, who can probably train a transformer from scratch. Right. Even like my friends who are like working in AI, they're either founders or engineers or researchers. They've had this experience where they're like interacting with it and they have the feeling that the interaction that they're having is pretty profound. Right. Until they send it to another human being. And then the other human like instantly sees like all the gaps and problems with it. And so they've learned to be more careful, but I don't think the average person has any kind of defenses around this. Not yet, really. And
I noticed a new behavior this weekend that I hadn't seen before of somebody had a point to make and they were adding context to it by just screenshotting their LLM chats.
And saying like, ChatGPT agrees with me.
Yeah.
Yes,
it's like
that's the placing it in points of authority, right?
Yep, totally.
It's this like the thing that I quoted in 2020, and I still kind of stick to this metaphor. It really is like we're creating an idol, right? To worship. We want that authority, and we live. And I wrote about this for Pirate Wires also like a long time ago. I think I wrote about it in 21. We're living in this period of epistemic collapse, right? We don't know who to trust. Like obviously we should trust you guys, but besides that, right? All the legacy institutions are falling apart. Nobody has sense-making organs that anybody trusts anymore. COVID made this way worse. So we're looking for authority. And suddenly here's this thing.
Well, yeah, and it's the funny behavior you see right now on X is some image that may or may not be, or image or video, it could be AI generated or a screenshot, and people just go, Grok, is this real?
Yeah,
it's like, okay, so you're going to rely on Grok, which is trained on X, which is like a home for real news and fake news, and you expect the model to be able to, maybe you could get, I don't know, there's potential ways in which you could fix that, but it's a weird thing if somebody trusts the model to write them a loving message to their parents about, like happy birthday, all this stuff. And it does an amazing job with that. And it's like, and there's in real life, people might get good advice from one person on one thing, but that same person might give absolutely terrible advice on the other thing. Right. And so like in real life, you're used to being like, okay, well, maybe I should get interpersonal advice from my aunt with my with regards to my family, but I shouldn't get her advice on business because I don't see her. But LLMs being like these all-knowing knowledge engines that can quickly, apply advice in a bunch of different categories, and people are already getting advice from them on so many different things. It's easy to slip into that kind of like idle.
And I think part of the problem is it's pretty good some of the time, right? And so you don't know where it's good and where it's bad. This is actually like a general problem with LLM adoption right now, even in industry, right? We don't know how good in advance it will be on any specific task, right? And so it's like this is like an engineering and research problem, frankly. Like how do we figure out where the LLM is actually going to give us good advice or perform the task well versus when it's just going to make up random bullshit and send us into like psychosis spirals? We don't have an answer to that right now, which is part of the reason why people are taking this like pretty seriously. Even though maybe it's not increasing the total amount of crazy in the world, it is producing a new kind of crazy in the world.
Yeah, I guess. Do
right?
you have a theory on if with I always thought it was interesting to kind of estimate, what percentage of people are going to do ayahuasca and like have some kind of psychotic break, right? It's from just viewing the tech industry, you might say, oh, maybe it's 5%. Maybe that's way too high, maybe that's too low, right? But you don't know.
5% seems incredibly high. If 5% of people in tech were going crazy from GPT, we would have a productivity slowdown in the country. Like I think GPT would go down.
No, I
sorry,
was
GDP
talking
would go
Of
down.
the people that do ayahuasca,
I was saying
how
like
many people
I was saying like
those will have?
yeah, I was saying like 100 people that I know are ayahuasca types, 5% of them safely seem like they kind of like got one-shotted a little bit. They're not necessarily crazy and like destroying their life or anything like that.
But it's
I think
significantly changed their
the big
personality.
question is like
Yeah.
is can models sort of like create psychosis in people that were not susceptible in the same way, like that, or is it just there's a certain group of people that are generally more susceptible to this? And
I
if
would
they
suggest it's that. I
Yeah,
would suggest that there is a group of people who are generally susceptible, like something maybe would have got them. I would suggest that it's probably something like if you go looking for this type of stuff, 5% of the people are going to find it, probably. I think that that's pretty reasonable.
Yes, but
Again,
I think the key is that it's not The Ring from that horror film that I know Jordy hasn't seen, where like I truly believe that I could go on a silent retreat to the top of a mountain and only have a GPT prompt interface and spend all day for weeks prompting this thing, trying to go crazy, and I would come back unchanged. Just because I'm not predisposed to it, built different.
But
yes,
that's how
exactly.
they get you.
That's how they get
You
you.
don't know in advance.
The
That's
other
how they get you.
concern.
Nobody goes to the ayahuasca retreat thinking, shit, this is going to completely overwrite my personality
I guess, yeah.
with like some Mesoamerican demon, right? Like this is not how it works.
Well, yeah, no.
Yeah.
So the good thing about ayahuasca, I don't have a lot of good things to say about it, but the good thing is that it requires somebody to really go out of their way. You have to really go out of your way, right?
It's not an app on your phone.
You've got to, for some time, you had to fly to South America, and then people brought it up here, but it was still like
it was
somebody
expensive.
had to fly,
It has a
find a
cost.
shaman,
It's not free.
dedicate a weekend to it.
Yeah.
ChatGPT and other LLMs, somebody could just be using it at work. And then just like go down. Nobody's like using ayahuasca at their tech job casually.
Right.
Hopefully.
Yeah, the
You never
availability
know.
the availability is certainly higher. To some extent, again, I have similar perspective on this, and my discussions with Monica have been similar, where it's like this is for some people on the level of psychedelics. It needs to be treated that seriously for that group of people. It is that serious. My perspective on like psychedelics in general has always been never make drugs the most interesting thing that has ever happened to you in your life, because that's how you get susceptible to getting your mind overridden by Mesoamerican demons that live in mushrooms.
Yeah.
To some extent, like it is psychoactive. You are participating in a psychedelic experience in the sense that you are projecting meaning onto the subjective experience that you're having. But we have this special machine now whose entire job is to do that, is to pretend to create meaningful text. Right. You can argue back and forth about how much it really understands, but the thing that it's trained to do is produce meaningful text in as many situations as possible. And then the post-training.
You're so right. You're so right, Anton. It's not just meaningful. It's a statement. It is.
It's recursive.
It's not just text. It's a
We're
rallying
gonna,
cry.
we're gonna one shot you into making TBPN your entire personality. My question is like, how do we inoculate ourselves towards this? Like, how do we build forward? Jordy and I were joking a long time ago about the need for an ayahuasca vaccine. that you could take and then would make you immune to ayahuasca no matter how much you took. And obviously there are some people who have slowly dosed themselves up with various chemicals to the point it's like having an alcohol tolerance, having a caffeine tolerance.
That's how you become a functional alcoholic. I don't know if that's the path we want to
there
take
are
here,
some
right?
there are absolutely some functional ayahuasca-holics out there in the world. It happens, and they have not been one shot, but they are immune essentially to changing because they've been working on it for so long.
I think when I have looked at I think there's a bunch of Reddit threads of people kind of reporting on their experiences, like kind of extreme experiences. When I look at those, when I talk to like Dan Shipper, I'm like, wow, I'm really not using the models to the level that Dan Shipper is.
Sure.
And then when I see these Reddit threads and these people are like, 7,000 prompts deep, I'm like, wow, okay, I'm really a normie compared to that, where I probably haven't cracked 50 in a single chat, maybe once, right?
Yeah.
And I think that I'm curious what you think different labs should even be doing about it.
There's a couple of pieces here, right? The best thing that I found to be about to like work as normie deprogramming for stuff like this is explain to them that you are not actually having a conversation. Every single time you send a message, the entire history of your chat is also getting sent to a completely new instance of the model.
Yep.
If you sit down with the person and walk them through that fact and let them peek behind the curtain as well, if you could like show them what's actually getting sent every time, what these calls look like, it demystifies a lot of this.
Totally.
It starts thinking about it differently, right? It breaks you out of the frame of I'm interacting with something that is having a continuous conversation with me and which is recursively interacting with me.
Yeah.
So it's like, no, it's like a completely new thing every single time.
You need to see the magic trick for sure.
Yeah, you
Once
see the magic trick. And I
you're-
think that helps a lot. I think to the point of the labs, dude, so-called generative AI, which is, we've had the worst goddamn marketing since this industry got started about 2.5 years ago. It's been terrible. First of all, calling it generative AI is such an incredible miss when the thing you want it to do is do tasks for you instead of like, I don't know, produce images of big-breasted cat girls. That's not the primary function of this technology, right? It's not the generation that's important. Part of the marketing has always been this mysticism about what the models can actually do, what secret technologies are hidden behind the curtains of the lab, and then you have these eschatological pronouncements from lab heads about, oh, this is going to make 50% of people unemployed in a couple of years, and by the way, it's going to be super intelligent and might kill us all. Like that's feeding the mysticism that allows people to engage with this. They don't really understand what it's capable of because they hide what it's capable of. Part of that is the engineering problem of understanding what the models actually are capable of, which we don't know, which needs a lot more research. But part of it is like presenting things as like being constantly hidden behind a curtain. It's like, oh no, we're creating magic back here. We're giving birth to literally a god, and who wouldn't want to worship a god? Like if you literally are making one, then of course people are going to be inclined to worship in it. Maybe we need to just start using more boring language here.
Yeah, I remember when. Do you remember during the OpenAI?
It's not good for fundraising.
Do you remember during the OpenAI dust up when Sam got fired and then came back? There was this whole meme about like, what did Ilya see?
Yes.
What secret project was he working on? And I remember there's an article that was like, it was called like Project Titan Alpha Craziness Strawberry. Dude, it was literally just RL. It was just RL on top. It was just RL, and it went out and everyone did it, and it's out there in O3, and it's out there in DeepSeek is open sourcing it, and it's like it's available. Like it's cool. It makes it better, but it's just RL on top of.
It was also obvious to the research community, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody kind of knew. And again, if you've been around AI long enough, you know exactly what Q-Star refers to. It wasn't
Q-Star,
like
that's
some
what it
mystical
was.
thing.
Yeah, Q-Star was
right?
like, oh, it's going to be this crazy thing. It's like, yeah,
what's
that
interesting about
shipped.
that?
That shipped, and it's fine.
But it's like not to get too like symbolic with it, but you've got Q-Star and you've got QAnon, and how much of that is just like mentally intersecting in people's minds because you're like presenting it as if it's a conspiracy theory. Totally. Right. At a time when our epistemics are falling apart, and you're deliberately making people not trust you because you're not telling them everything, and you make a point of not telling them everything.
Yeah.
Right. It's like people are going to project onto these things whatever they want to believe.
Yeah.
And I think that the marketing is part of the driver. I don't know how to walk it back. And as you said, it makes fundraising harder. But frankly, this is also a transformative technology. It is going to change everything. But Is it going to give birth to a god that you should worship, or like should you
Yeah.
take life advice from it rather than your friends? I don't know. Certainly not today. Maybe if we do have super intelligence, it'll give me better advice than my buddies, but not today.
Yeah. How AGI pilled are you right now? Dwarkesh recently updated his timelines to say, hey, I don't even think it's going to be able to do my taxes until 2028. Maybe something more like super intelligence in something like 2035. The timelines are shifting around, but do you think that we're, making progress? Are we accelerating, decelerating? Like, how do it?
I'll put it this way. I think we know what the problems are, which means they're going to get attacked. There's a few points to this. So I've been like drifting to becoming much more AGI pilled or like LLM architecture pilled as time has gone on. First of all, I don't think you need AGI for this to be transformative.
Of course.
Meaningfully, right? Like we've invented this machine that if you feed it enough data and compute about any particular task, it's going to be able to perform that task. I'm a little bit at odds with Dwarkesh here on some of this because like, okay, yeah, but if you did a pre-training corpus the size of GPT-4 on just tax preparation, it's going to be able to do your taxes.
Schulte was actually talking about that specifically, like a tax, doing your taxes eval, and then the eval gets saturated, and it's like, oh, it's saturated, but it's like, okay, now they can do taxes. That's great.
But here's the real problem. So the problem with the evals is like, yeah, it's doing great on the coding benchmark, but is it going to be able to do this coding problem that I just put in front of it? Nobody knows the answer to that question today. You can't predict from the benchmarks what tasks it's actually going to be able to perform.
Yeah,
So
but if
for
the
me-
training
for me,
corpus is
this-
broad enough, like it might not be able to do the most complex novel tax processes, but it could do like the basic one that it's trained a billion times for, right?
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
the hope.
And again, it's just a question of getting more data into it.
Yeah.
But if we want the general purpose system, there's like a bunch of problems that we need to solve.
Yeah.
But we know what the problems are. Like one of the biggest ones, which I keep harping on about here, is the model currently does not know what it doesn't know, which is a big reason for it producing bullshit, right? For example, when GPT tells you, I don't have any knowledge beyond a certain cutoff date, it's not because it has learned that fact by scanning its entire pre-training corpus. It's because in post-training, somebody has trained that fact into it, right? It's been fine-tuned to respond that way to things that require dates later than its cutoff date. We got to get rid of that if you want AGI, because then the model can say, oh, I don't know this, but I'm going to go and get that fact, and I'm going to go retain that fact. And Dwarkesh's point on this is, like, Dwarkesh is like big on continuous learning for this being necessary. Like, it has to go out and gather facts. I think there's a bunch of ways of doing that. Being the founder of Chroma, I think memory is a great way to do it. It can just go out and store facts. And the thing is to have the general purpose processing system that works on top of that. I think timelines are less important than less interesting to talk about than applications. Like it used to be, you go to a San Francisco party where any AI people were present and that you would get asked the timelines question, right? It's not that interesting a question. The question that I've been asking people is like, okay, great. Like forget timelines. Imagine if I, in my pocket, have an API to an AGI that can perform any cognitive task to expert level human performance. What are you going to do with it? And almost nobody I talk to has an answer in under a minute. And the cop-out answer is always, well, I'm going to ask it what to do. And I'm like, well, it's expert level. So you're the expert on AI. So what do you think it should do? Because that'll be its answer too. And people get stuck and people really get stuck. And I think that this is really illustrative that the question now shouldn't necessarily just be about model capability. It should be about how do we get this thing to diffuse through the economy? And a big part of that is literally just asking like, okay, like a business is uncertain about whether it can apply AI to a particular task, right? They don't know what the cost is going to be. They don't know how well it's going to perform. Right now we're racing forward. We're like putting all this money into compute, into all that stuff. And by the way, that's great. America absolutely has to win the compute race. It's like without a doubt. Not just for research, but for industry. But it's being underestimated, like how much work there is to do to educate people how to use this effectively and how to estimate how to use it effectively. And I think that's much more of a barrier than like having AGI.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Tricky. Anything else, Jordy?
Come back on again soon.
Yeah, this is a great chat.
Last, I'm curious. We were talking earlier. Sam was on Theo Vaughn last week, and he casually dropped that your conversations with ChatGPT could be used against you in a court of law.
Yeah.
It started going viral for obvious reasons, even though I think a lot of people don't realize that like all email and most internet services.
Yeah, I mean that's my
way.
response here.
But I'm curious if like the path forward, if LLMs could provide therapy for the masses or one of these use cases that should have some privacy, do you think there's a technical solve there or is it going to be more of a like some type of like legal regulatory solve?
Well, we kind of have some of these legal solves for existing, like for Web 2 stuff, right? Like we've got HIPAA, FERPA, we've got the COPPA stuff for protecting school kids. I used to have an ed tech startup, so I know about that. The problem is your GPT is general purpose. And so if someone wants to use it as a therapist, right, which nominally would be covered by something like a privacy thing. And by the way, I don't know how this works with like GDPR. Like, God help you if the Europeans get involved in some meaningful way in the contents of the chat. Yes, there is a legal solve, but there's a technical problem of knowing when the legal thing applies, right? Like, at what point is it a therapist? When I log into a therapy app and it's like covered by HIPAA, I know what it's for, but if I'm just like kind of having a bad day and I start treating GPT like a therapist, like, am I covered by that or not? It's a technical problem to detect that it should be covered.
And I think that, sure. but it's just, same thing. You know, if you're getting therapy from your business partner informally and you're saying things that are wrong or whatever, talking about like people, I think people should have they need to have responsibility over the context of the context of the conversation. So I do think it's possible that like ChatGPT, if they want to attack therapy, should create a HIPAA compliant version of their product that's like a separate app, and people should just know, hey.
Yeah, setting expectations is the right thing here ultimately, right? But it's so hard to set expectations around a general purpose technology.
Yeah,
that's the thing, especially for the average person. Like everyone on this who comes on this show is suffering under the curse of expertise, right? We know way more about this stuff than the average person, and we don't realize how much more we know than the average person. And I don't know if it's reasonable to expect the average person to like know that they shouldn't use this chatbot in therapy because then that might be disclosed in a court of law. That's a lot of things. Like, there's so many steps you have to understand there, right? The average person doesn't read like the error message that comes up on their screen when their computer's doing something weird. You're not going to get them to like understand tech privacy law.
Yeah.
I don't have a good answer, but I think you have to like set expectations somehow effectively.
Yeah, that's why you've seen like in these high profile like murder cases, somebody will type in to Google how to hide a body.
Yep.
It's like, oh, like I thought that like that would be cool if
No, it's the same. It's a database. It's a website with a database backend that saves everything you type. There are logs, but yeah, people don't know that. It's a good point.
No.
Anyway,
all right, gentlemen.
All right, great
Thank
chat.
you so much. Yeah,
Cheers,
I think
folks.
OpenAI should buy a billboard on AdQuick that says OpenAI is subject to the exact same rules as Google and every other
consumer internet.
Yes, the rest of the consumer internet. They should get on adquick.com because AdQuick makes out-of-home advertising easy and measurable. And they could say goodbye to the headaches of out-of-home advertising. Only AdQuick combines technology, out-of-home expertise, and data to enable efficient, seamless ad buying across the globe. We have our next guest here in the studio.
Super intelligent.
He's suited up again. Let's go. Thank you.
You keep that suit in the closet at the office, and when it's time for a big meeting or a big TBPN.
You look fantastic. How are you doing?
You look so natural.
You look great.
You guys know it. Doing great. How are you guys?
We're good. We have a jacket on the way to you. Thank you for
dude. You ran a half marathon yesterday or the day before. How was that?
That was fun. It was a little rough. I woke up with a little bit of a fever, and so I already signed up for it. So I thought might as well just go with it, you know.
There we go, the Ashton Hall. I love it.
That was just playing in your head when you woke up.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, congrats on that. And what other news do you have for us?
Get the gong ready.
So, yeah, Julius just raised $10 million.
There we go.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Total rapper victory.
Total victory.
Total rapper victory. You guys know it. And we're also launching a new product called Data Connectors today. So that means Julius can connect directly with your data stores like Postgres, Google Drive, OneDrive, and a lot more coming soon.
Take me through how you're experiencing the data wars, the walls going up. We've seen this stuff with like Glean maybe getting some sharp elbows with Salesforce or something. They don't want other companies coming in. They want to do it themselves. It feels like Postgres is naturally neutral. You operate at a different layer, so maybe less of a risk there, but how's that all playing
Well, yeah,
out?
and when it comes to specifically financial data, which is a category I think you guys have a lot of traction in, companies tend to actually own that.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, how is it all playing out?
Absolutely. So, I mean, it's really cool to see like what's happening with Salesforce and Glean. Look, companies have gold mines worth of data. It's just like so much information in that data, and they aren't able to get the insights that they need because every time somebody on the team needs an insight, they have to go talk to a team, wait for hours or days. And so more than 90% of the data, beyond just Salesforce or other business tools, even in your databases, like how are the users using your product? How are they signing up? Where are they dropping off in the funnel? All that data doesn't really get analyzed. And Julius is really here to solve that. Now, we're launching this data connector with Postgres because that's the main database that a lot of startups and late-stage companies use as they're scaling and have a lot of valuable data in there. Customer data, transaction data, marketing data. A lot of that data usually passes through Postgres and then ends up in different business tools. And so being able to integrate directly with Postgres means you can now talk to the main data store directly. Anyone on the team, a marketer, a product manager, even the founder can just ask questions and make visualizations within seconds.
I was talking to a founder who identified an interesting trend in his company, and I want to see if it's relevant to your customers. He was saying that AI tools, Cursor, Claude Code, Windsurf, Cognition, all this stuff is great at taking a 10x engineer to a 100x. Maybe that's happening. It's definitely some sort of productivity boost. But he was saying that the bigger unlock for him and his organization is that designers have gone from 0x engineers to 1x engineers. And that's unlocked more value, maybe on some sort of relative basis, because you're getting kind of a divide by zero error. It's like an infinite increase. And I'm wondering if in your customer base, are you seeing more like non-technical people kind of become technical and go from that like 0x to 1x engineer? And is that kind of a key selling prop, or are you more focused on there's a data scientist who's using Julius to go from 10x to 100x?
Exactly. We're seeing the exact same trend with Julius. Cursor takes a 10x engineer and turns them into 100x engineer, but also they take a designer and now the designer can ship code and ship features.
Yeah.
And that all of a sudden is really powerful. Similarly with Julius, data scientists and data analysts can now be a lot more productive because they can just talk to the database, write their queries in simple English, and get what they need. But also, everyone that they serve, marketers, product managers, operations people, finance team, CEOs, executive team, all these people now can get their own insights, and they don't have to be bottlenecked by timelines or bandwidth. They can just talk to the data and get the insights. In many cases, in fact, it's the data teams that are bringing Julius into the company. They're saying, hey, we want to do the deep data work that takes a long time, and we don't want to be bothered by these ad hoc queries. So how about you just use Julius for your questions, and then if you need more help, just let us know. And then we're seeing like VP of marketing, VP of operations, in many cases CFOs use Julius, but also the PMs at the ground level using Julius to understand what do the conversion funnels look like? When the users use my feature, how are they retaining over time? What are the patterns in their usage? And they're now able to get those insights and then make better product decisions within minutes.
In the future, do you think that every kind of org within a company will just automatically have Julius reports kind of like running in the background, basically producing insights without people even having to prompt it themselves? Is that kind of where you're headed?
Exactly. I mean, that's the next level of autonomy you want to get to. You have the self-driving, right? Level 1, level 2, level 5. So right now we're at level 4, kind of like autopilot. Soon you want to get to the Waymo level, where Julius can simply monitor all your data, let you know when there's a change in trends. In fact, what we're hearing from companies and people using Julius is that there's a dashboard fatigue. We have hundreds of dashboards to monitor, and it's really hard to know when things change. So what if you could have an AI agent like Julius?
What if you could have a dashboard for your dashboards?
No, I completely agree with this. Yeah, like everyone asks for a dashboard. It gets built. They check it for the first week, and then you check the user analytics, and no one's checking the dashboard. And it's
but you
one
want
ad hoc analysis. I think is so much more.
Yeah,
powerful.
you want Julius's super intelligence to be like surfacing things that a human
Yeah, but it has
would
to
never
be
notice.
yeah, it has to be unique because you stagnate when you're just checking a number. Okay, it went up another 5%. It's like go find what numbers are actually trending down, make a serious change to your business so that you turn that KPI around, and then keep doing
Put the
that.
KPIs in orbit.
Put the KPIs in orbit, as we like to say.
Sorry,
I love that.
we cut you off.
No, I think you guys are spot on. I mean, you need a dashboard for a dashboard. You need to know a dashboard. You need to have a dashboard that will tell you the key metrics that change every day. And if the metrics don't change, you shouldn't have to look at them. Soon, Julius will be able to send you email reports. Imagine getting an email from your AI data analyst every day at 8 a.m. Hey, here are the 5 key metrics, and here's an executive summary about what's happening in your business.
Yeah.
Now, imagine that in your Slack. And you can then add Julius in your Slack channel and just dive deep into data with all your teammates. And that all of a sudden is really powerful.
You're speaking our language. This is music to my ears.
Music to my ears. Gonna start tearing.
I'm gonna start crying.
It's so beautiful.
It's an agentic workflow for your agentic workflows.
It's lovely. It's lovely. I mean, we were talking earlier about data security, the T-app hack. I'm interested to know, how are you building Julius for security? I have a Postgres database. I imagine that Julius is often vended in as a web app, but then are you replicating data on Julius servers? Have you hired security people? Like, what's the modern startup approach to security?
Absolutely. We take data security very seriously. In fact, from day one, we have invested and built our infrastructure around keeping our users' data secure. We recently hired a head of data security. He has 18 years of experience. He has more experience than most people.
Love it.
Thank you. But what we do essentially is we give each user their own sandbox environment. So each user gets their own environment that's kind of partitioned from other users. And their data, when they import into Julius, is in that environment. And all the code execution happens there. And then you can, with the push of a button, just delete and wipe the whole environment, and everything is deleted. All the data, all the files, all the notebooks. And additionally, you can also go in and delete the chat history if you want to. We're SOC 2 Type 2 compliant, and we invest super heavily in data security, and a lot more stuff coming soon on that front.
Amazing.
That's
Well,
awesome.
so happy to see your success. We know how hard you work,
Congratulations.
and looking forward to having. At the rate you're going, we will just set up a recurring monthly call. You just join, announce a new round.
Hop on anytime, man. Always good to catch up.
It's awesome to see.
Thank you
Anything
for
else?
having me, guys.
We'll talk to you
Cheers.
soon. Bye. Really quickly, let me tell you about Bezel. Your Bezel concierge is available now to source you any watch on the planet. Seriously, any watch. Go to getbezel.com. Did you see the news about Intel? Very, very rough. Semi-analysis says value bros are in shambles. Intel now trades for book value-ish. But now the question is if they can achieve book value. For the price of book, now you are getting musty tools, empty shells, and the third turnaround in 5 years. Intel inside of the doghouse.
Brutal.
David
John,
Zisner
by the
over there
way,
says yes.
we have a guest joining.
In person or
No.
Okay.
just in a little bit here.
Fantastic.
So
Yeah.
just wanted to flag.
In 2 minutes, right?
Cool.
Yes, we did inventory write-downs. We had tools in the line that were older tools, and we took the opportunity, since we had an excess amount, we took the newer tools, put them on the line, took the older tools out. And so the problem is that they're holding this equipment on their books, and no one is after them to buy it because they are on the lagging edge now. So very rough. There's a whole bunch of interesting analyses going on with Louboutin.
The number of people that would
earnings.
want to buy hundreds of millions, billions of dollars of old
semiconductor
manufacturing gear.
equipment. It's pretty small pool.
Small market.
Pretty small.
So maybe
pool.
some rare earths in there.
I did want to give a
recycle.
shout out to Dak in the chat. He says that he was worried that we never read chat. Well, we read it, and here you go.
Yeah, we have
So
a new
thanks
we have a
for
new
watching.
we have a new
Keep an eye on
screen
chat.
here. It's not high enough to see the most recent one.
But we are monitoring it. So if you put a message in the chat on YouTube or X, I believe we will see it all here and be able to answer your questions if you have them, or react to your comments.
Nico is in the restream waiting room, or we're still waiting for him?
I think we're still waiting.
Nobody in the restream waiting room.
Nico created super intelligence for Excel.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Great.
saying that.
Love to see that.
But I'm going to send him a message right now.
Well, in the meantime, there are so many good posts we can run through. OpenAI is hiring for consumer hardware, and it gives us a little bit of information on what they're thinking of building potentially. They want experience with wireless, OLEDs, so that means a screen, microphones, cameras, portable cosmetic enclosures.
Another screen.
Liquid plus dust.
Let's give it up for more
screens.
We know this is what you've been waiting for. Another screen in your life. You maybe had one on the wrist. You had one in your hand. You had one on your desk.
Yeah.
You had
Have you
one
ever
on
played
your wall.
Fallout? You ever feel there's Fallout at all? They have the Pip-Boy. It's basically like a big screen that goes on it's like a gauntlet. That goes on your wrist, your entire arm.
I actually
with all
want
the screen
one of
there.
those.
It's very cool. It's very cyberpunk.
Ideally, like some type of
Big goat.
tattoo. You could get a screen tattooed, and it would act as like a
That'd be
little
cool.
screen.
Yeah.
Something.
Well, they'll have to patent it, just like Jim O'Shaughnessy did. Did you know that?
This is
did you know that
crazy.
Patrick's dad created stock
Stock
trading?
trading online.
He invented stock trading online, apparently. He says, I
Genuinely
can't
crazy.
shake the feeling that I should have done more with this. This is Jim O'Shaughnessy, the father
Creator of Robinhood, creator of Public,
apparently.
creator of all stock
creator
trading,
of
E-Trade.
Patrick O'Shaughnessy, the host of Invest Like the Best. And
That's true. Honestly, Jim,
Right up there.
You did the most important thing.
You
which
invented business
created an incredible
podcasting.
investor,
Exactly.
incredible podcaster,
Exactly.
and an incredible friend.
Yes.
So,
and so
thank you for doing that.
Yeah, Patrick O'Shaughnessy, or Jim O'Shaughnessy has a patent for system and method for selecting and purchasing stocks via a global computer network. In 1999, this was granted. Wow. Yeah. I don't know how he didn't capitalize on that. I mean, I feel like E-Trade must have been coming up. I still don't understand patents and how, like, you can have the most important patent and not get paid, and then you can have a minor patent and, like, troll everyone and get, like, billions of dollars. Like,
yeah,
it never made sense to me.
why is it difficult to enforce them in the software context?
It is very odd versus bio or anything else. I don't know. Anyway, Yaxine has
here.
a good post. Whoever preyed on my downfall, pray harder. And it's a picture of a alligator dunking a basketball as one does. This doesn't even look AI.
Nico says he's here.
AI generated. He might have the wrong link. He might be in a different waiting room. Make sure he has the correct restream waiting room to hop in. Anyway, absolutely brutal. The Financial Times, this is from Geiger Capital, says there's no hiding the fact that the EU was rolled over by the Trump juggernaut, said one ambassador. Trump worked out exactly where our pain threshold is. It's crazy. It was like Liberation Day was so much doom and gloom. I remember having a viral post that day that the market traded down like 5%. And I said, the market's down 5%. Interest rates are up, everything's bad, but you know what hasn't changed? The feeling of repping 225 for reps. And everyone enjoyed that. And the market's during some absolute doom and turmoil. What else is in the news? I'm going to do a cinematic launch video for my startup so it stands out. And it's the Buzz Lightyear meme with tons of identical Buzz Lightyears. The cinematic launch video, a little bit done to death, still breaks through if it's good, if it's unique.
Yeah, I mean, Waves did a kind of video that felt pretty Cluey-esque.
Yep.
Got 12 million. No, I think he said 30 million views, something like that.
Got a ton of views.
So got a ton of views. So you can still break out, but I think it's an opportunity. I like this post here from Bihan. He says, time to go back to some low res for a while.
You know what video that is?
I do not.
I believe that is the first video ever posted to YouTube.
YouTube at the zoo or something.
Yes, that is the co-founder of YouTube talking about
But the thing is, you could shoot a launch video. There's so many different ways you can take 60 seconds and make something new and different.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Like it is not so hard to generate ideas.
Yes, at the same time, tech exists on X. Links are banned. So if you write a beautiful blog post outlining your website or plan for your business, anything that you do, that's going to be a lot harder to go viral than a video that is native to the platform. I think a thread could also do the same thing. There have been a number of companies that have launched with threads. In some ways, Lulu launched Rostra kind of with a thread. She didn't do a cinematic video or vibe reel. She just had
got
the Going
enough
Direct
juice,
manifesto.
you can just do text.
You can post. Yeah, you can just do text.
Post your way to Valhalla.
But it is becoming saturated. It just demands more creativity, more unique styling. You can't just copy and knock off someone else and expect to break through in a huge way. But it is a great way just to quickly, in 1 minute, share a message and condenses it all down. Anyway, Nikola Jokic in literal tears after his horse won a race today. He barely cracked a smile after he won an NBA championship. LMAO, bro, really don't care about basketball. I don't understand what race this is. It's some sort of chariot racing with a man dragged behind a horse. I saw this in a bar once. Remember we were watching this? We were out in what is
Ojai.
that place? Ojai. Yeah, we were out in Ojai, and we saw this on the TV. We should get into this. This feels extremely us.
Yeah,
I feel like
I would love to have our own team.
I feel like I'm probably not suited to ride the horse at breakneck speed like a true jockey. I think they're a little bit smaller than me.
You could get a height reduction surgery.
Yes.
People are getting these height extension surgeries.
Yes. Well, if you're looking
Ryan,
to get into, if you're looking to go travel the world and hang out with a bunch of horses, get on Wander.
Find your happy place.
Find your happy place. Find your happy place. Book a Wander with inspiring views, hotel-grade amenities, dreamy beds, top-tier cleaning, and 24/7 concierge service. It's a vacation home, but better, folks. And Ryan Peterson is posting a screenshot from Black Hole, who says, asteroid Psyche 16 has been found to contain gold reserves worth $700 quintillion. That's enough to make everyone on Earth billionaires. And I think that's actually like the crazy math. Is that right? Quintillion? Oh, I guess because it's probably quadrillion. Wow. So it really would make everyone a billionaire. That's a lot of gold.
It's insane that NASA has not mined this yet. I mean, do they not care about humanity? It's like, what are they doing? Try harder.
Everyone gets $1 billion worth of gold, and then we got to go back to, well, I want a car.
Actually,
I want something else. I don't want just $1 billion.
is pretty cool.
Yes.
I'll give you some gold for some greenbacks.
Ryan Peterson says he just wants his Diet Cokes to come in solid gold cans.
I like that.
Could be possible. Brian Kaplan sharing a photo of some absolute dogs, absolute legends at a round table 19 years ago. Tyler Cowen, Alex Tabarrok, Robin Hansen, and me, plus Ilya Rainier, hanging out with the boys in June 15th, 2006. You'll love to see it. Just guys being dudes. This is some news. Armada has launched. Leviathan launches today with our blueprint for American AI dominance. It expands the Galleon lineup, pushing megawatt scale compute to every underutilized energy source we can reach. Trey Stevens is breaking it down. Armada is building the infrastructure to make sure the world runs on the U.S. AI stack. Leviathan drops a megawatt of liquid-cooled compute where the land and energy live at the edge. Proud to back the team as they continue to accelerate on their mission to bridge the digital divide. I think this is unlocked by a bunch of different trends. Starlink, obviously, very important. A whole bunch of different pieces coming together to allow a shipping container full of compute to be delivered to the edge in all sorts of different, in all different environments. Oil and gas,
We got the pitch.
It's fascinating
IRL,
company.
Crazy company. And we will have the founders on this week, I believe.
And we'll have to buy one of these for the studio.
Ideally,
I
multiple.
need to be
I would like to
inferencing.
A daily driver and then a backup.
I mean, we search a lot about like true crime stuff. I don't want to be flagged in some database. I want to do that inference locally so that I don't get subpoenaed or anything like that. Anyway, we have our next guest here in the studio. Welcome to the stream.
We made it. We have super intelligence in Excel, but we're still figuring out Zoom.
Wi-Fi is coming in a long time. What's up, boys?
How you doing?
What's going on?
Good. I couldn't bring the suit. I thought the white coat was the next best.
No, white's
That's a
great.
good
The market's
option.
up. We're wearing white. It's very good.
Yeah.
It's a good option. Okay, so
Break it down for us. What are you building?
FinTwit was freaking out this morning because they all thought you paper clipped them all.
Okay.
So yeah, talk about the launch. So Nico was on the show a while back talking about kind of the pre-release, and the app is live today. Sounds like you've improved it quite a bit as well. So yeah, break it down.
Yeah, sweet. Thanks for having me, guys. Yeah, FinTwit's having a meltdown. They're having the kind of moment that we had August 2024 in software engineering. Karpathy tweeted, cursor's kind of there now.
Yeah, vibe coding.
Yeah, and what happened was there was a lot of hesitation from senior devs, and I think a lot of the junior devs became really, really good, really, really fast, and there's a word for them now, like context engineers. And I think where we are now is there's this moment's happening for Excel. So our product's called Shortcut, and it's a superhuman Excel agent. And it does feel like that August moment. For some things, it's unbelievably better than humans, and for others, it's just like stupider than your intern. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't the dynamic of like the finance world and the Excel user radically different than the software engineer? I feel like if you're an amazing software engineer, you can work your way up at a big tech company, become like a senior engineering fellow, and basically always be working on algorithms and code and software your entire career and become fantastically wealthy, become an AI engineer that makes $100 million. But in finance, you go to an investment bank or a hedge fund or a private equity shop, you're working in Excel, and then you level up and it becomes all about relationships. And so you don't actually, like when I think of like a managing director at, KKR or something, I don't think, oh, wow, that guy's really good at Excel. I think that guy knows
Well, he
people.
probably used to be.
Probably was.
Exactly, used to be.
Yeah.
So how does this dynamic actually play out?
Yeah, so that's a good call out. It's actually the same in tech, but there's like two paths.
Totally.
You could go tech lead path, and tech leads are like doing some wizardry on wherever algorithm or backend infrastructure. You could go director path, and it just becomes like you talk about or you brag about how much headcount you have under you. That is like the only thing that exists in finance. And when we show people in finance this, their first reaction is like it's kind of fucked because like Excel is the reason that I'm where I'm at now, and that path doesn't seem like it's going to be a thing.
How
so
so,
yeah,
though?
it is different.
I mean, it feels like you'd like even. I feel like a lot of people, entrepreneurs, don't want to be vibe coding themselves. They want to hire somebody who's really good at vibe coding, and they want to get the value of a senior engineer for the price of a junior engineer. I imagine if I'm an MD at an investment bank, and I'm like, great, I can even more quickly turn over a term of the DCF to my client. And yes, I don't mind keeping the Harvard grad, up all night on the weekend. But if he or she could get it back to me in an hour instead of 10 hours, I'd be happy with that.
Yeah, and you'd still rather that person work 30 hours a day and just send you more.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, we know this because of tech. Like this happened, and it was actually much scarier 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But whenever you can drive the cost of inputs lower and your ROI goes up, like the obvious thing to do is just put more gas on that fire.
Totally.
It makes sense that it's scary. As in like we used to have tools and now we have things that can use our tools. Yeah. Right. So I think it's inevitable that they're going to learn what we learned, and that's how I'm going to position it.
So we need to go to the finance community and teach them about Jevons paradox.
I'm glad somebody's bringing this up. We're going to host a Jevons Paradox happy hour.
We should.
Rooftop bar.
We're
going to be in New York.
I was about
week.
to say
we'll just go on the street if we see someone dressed in a suit.
Should we do a little circuit? Yeah,
we should. Are you in New York?
No, we're in Menlo Park. I'm the only person in Menlo Park who knows finance, unfortunately.
Hey, what about the venture firms? They need to know.
If you're serious about finance,
by 100.
You go to private equity or VC, or private equity or hedge funds.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, I was like, wait, what?
No. You put it in the Excel sheet, multiply the revenue by 100. That's the valuation.
You do a little bit of this, and you close your eyes.
Yeah, that's the valuation.
Slap a multiple.
Multiply
what
by 100.
What do you mean I need a model to determine the valuation? I'm just going to pay slightly more than my competitors.
What is the shape of the user base? Where is Excel actually like powerfully used? Because I feel like so many of the hedge funds, they used to do stuff in Excel, then I went to VBA, then I went to high frequency trading and proprietary systems, and I'm sure there's some stuff, but it's usually in like private markets, less liquid markets. Like where is Excel holding on really strongly?
I'd say hedge funds are like the toughest customers. Anything that they're like really heavily relying on like already low-level systems or real-time data to public access markets, that is a tough customer. Thankfully, they're like a small sliver, and I'm not sure I'm building for them. But anything like private equity where you're getting a sim and you need to build a model on it or a mini model, anything where like you have a template, you want to update it in light of new information. Corporate real estate's like a bizarre area where there's a lot of PMF. But it seems to be that like building new models could be 100 times faster now. Editing existing models is a little tricky. I mean, if you really want to swap a model for like new data, that's kind of like the highest bar that you can possibly have, but seems to be solvable.
Sure.
So what's the workflow now? I'm in PE. I have a sim, and for those that don't know, it's basically a bunch of PDFs and data showing what's actually happening in a business that might be for sale. can I drop how soon?
Yeah,
can I
yeah,
just
yeah.
drop
Let me walk
this
you through
into-
it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly right. So it's like a confidential investment memo from the sell side. A big bank will send it to a PE firm, or they'll send it to a bunch of them. Typically, what you do is like you try to analyze, you diligence the deal, and you look at this big PDF full of data, and you try to model it to like understand, is this a good deal? Should I bring this to my boss or whatever? You're usually constrained by how fast you can do that analysis. Currently now, you can just attach a PDF of a SIM. They're usually PDFs or multiple PDFs or customer data dumps as well. And you can just say like, hey, here's my template. I use this for my LBO model. Make me 10 of them. And in fact, now you can also just email it and be like, I want 100.
Yeah.
And you can get all of that. Or you can attach 100 attachments and ask for 100 models back. And then it becomes more like, how fast can I review data? More like how quickly can I do grunt work?
Yeah. What about just like FP&A orgs in like small and medium businesses? I feel like when I've run companies, I have like one finance person and we have a question. Should we expand in this market, or should we add a new SKU, or should we do something? Should we take out this line of credit or whatever? And usually there's like an Excel model or Google Sheets model that's like built, but it's like there's not even like a Canalist for pull a model off the shelf. It's like, no, I need to just be in Excel and model this out, or even like CAC to LTV. Is this how are my KPIs trending? There's so much work that goes in the long tail of Excel. Is that just like not the early market for you, or do you see people abusing the tool quickly?
I think the crazy thing is I do these live demos and people are like, oh, that's insane, but is this just DCFs?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we are in the tech world, so we think tech is the center of everything. But anything you can possibly do in Excel is way more in distribution than like Ruby on Rails.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like, there's no kind of model you can conceive that is like unfair to ask. It becomes like, what are the fundamental limits of AI? And it turns out like writing Excel formulas is a lot easier than writing like amazing code, actually. So it's more or less like, how did this not exist at this point? But I have yet to find one example.
You said Shortcut beats first-year analysts from McKinsey and Goldman head-to-head 89% when blindly judged by their managers. We even gave humans 10x more time. What did that kind of like benchmarking exercise? What did that look like?
We gave multiple first-year incoming analysts from McKinsey, Goldman, BCG, JP Morgan, a couple other firms, like 5 tasks. And we thought like they were the most in distribution for classic finance work. So this was consulting, like building out models, M&A models, LBO at DCF, and like personal hobby stuff, and actually even product management, like build a dashboard over this customer dump. We then gave them over 90 minutes per task. Some of the hobby ones had like 15 minutes. And then we just asked them to submit it. And then when we did that, we also got in touch with managers from these firms and just sent them a Google form with like side-by-sides, completely anonymized, and just pick your preference according to like accuracy, professionalism, whatever. I thought it was going to be closer to 50-50. I think what I really learned is first-year analysts are like kind of lousy. Like they're not that good at building Excel models. And then also I think people just take way longer to do things. I think if I had to critique the study, it would be that like 5 hours is not enough. And like they would have liked to have a week, one person wrote me. But I didn't want to run that study.
Yeah, what's your read on the meter data that these coding agent tools did not actually speed up software engineers? Did you see this? So Meter did a blinded study. It was small number, but it was interesting because it was very solid software engineers working on advanced bugs in like big open source projects, not vibe coding a landing page. Like truly, like there is a sticky bug hanging out in some fundamental repo out there. Go fix it. They estimated that they would be 20% faster, 30% faster, something like that. Turns out they were 20% slower. I'm wondering if you'll see a similar pattern where there's a speed up for bootstrapping and getting from 0 to 1 on a project, but then for the really crazy person that already has all their macros and doesn't touch the mouse, maybe they're actually going to experience a slowdown. Do you think that would happen? What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I saw the study. I didn't read it deeply. What I will say,
it would be bad for you. It's just an interesting finding.
I think the obvious thing is that it's like using AI is a skill also. Yeah. Right. So like the top startups have like the best context engineers in the world. They know how to optimize the KV cache hit rate, whatever it is. If you kind of give like even a really strong engineer who's been coding for 20 years, you're like, now you have to use this tool or use it however you want. Yep. I have no doubt that even the best engineers and the oldest engineers like eventually would find patterns in which it's massively unlocking for them. Mm-hmm. So I think that is what's going to happen. But I actually, to be like the most critical, I think clearly Excel modelers are way less technical and way less on the frontier of tech than our software engineers. So it's actually more on me as like a product person to like, how do I unearth some of these capabilities and hide the ones that they're not ready for, and even train people for this, because it is 2023 all over again.
Yeah, how templatable is the work? Because I know Canalist sold to Tegus, which sold to Alpha Sites, I believe, and Canalist was kind of like off-the-shelf financial models, some data integrations. Capital IQ has had integrations. If you have a Bloomberg terminal, you can have integrations, and so there's almost a world where you want to like sit on top of a library of templates. In some ways, the way like deep research is clearly RLH def on like a couple templates of like what a report looks like. It loves tables. And so I don't know if you want to do like fine tuning or like have a model that selects a pre-filled template and then you're using your tool just to update that template. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so let's break it down into two things. One would be like product, and then the other one would be training. As far as product is concerned, like I think the most important thing you can do is let users actually upload their templates.
Sure.
Like your income statement's gonna be different than or Pincus or whatever, and then just let them work naturally from theirs. But then from the training perspective, you have to collect as much of this data as possible and train your models. Kind of definitionally, if you're using frontier models, you can be limited in what you can and cannot serve in terms of trained models. But it's actually a much more constrained environment. So like I think we stand to benefit from it much more than does like Operator or deep research.
Yeah, makes sense. Jordy, anything else?
How do you think the product needs to improve going forward? It sounds like in the study, in the tests that you ran with the incoming analysts, it performed very well. That's kind of like a unique situation. What's it going to take to get it to the point where it's actually disrupting the job market in some of those roles?
Yeah, it's a great question. Clearly right now, I think what it does is it makes, like maybe you guys are rustier on Excel than you used to be. Like it makes you much better at Excel. And if you're kind of a rookie or like you're a solopreneur and you want to like have a one-man finance shop, like you're much better now already with it. So for that, like we passed the capabilities threshold. The big question becomes like for like real enterprises who people hardcore use it, are we there? And I would say like, if August is that moment, we're like in June. Like it is a pretty clear capabilities threshold we have to pass, and we're actually actively adding all of the limitations to our internal benchmark and just hill climbing them as aggressively as we can. Part of it becomes a little bit of a product science of like how you can abstract the limitations away from them. But like more specifically, it's exactly editing and overwriting large, nasty existing templates and files with new data. It's like, if you don't do that at a certain percentage of accuracy, it's just a non-starter.
Yeah, I feel like part of the challenge will be figuring out, like giving the user tools to figure out where shortcut is hallucinating, right? Right. If you have like that's part of that. I remember, working with get a model made in the past, and I just look at it and I'm like, okay, everything looks good, but like it's definitely off, and like it's just like it's too good or it's too bad.
Bad model smell.
Yeah, exactly. And then you dive into it and you find like one or two kind of reasons for that. And I think like the people that might critique Shortcut today are going to say like, oh, I used it for this or that, and like it missed this column or whatever.
For sure.
So that kind of stuff.
So, I mean, in terms of how we think about it, I'll tell you how we think about it and then like what actively we're doing about it. But it's like, this is not a new phenomenon. Like in coding, it had to get certain good, and it had to be certainly like at a certain level of observability. And when Cursor like brought the apply diff function, it actually made the job of supervising AI like doable. Like I used to copy blocks and I wouldn't know what would break. That was the big thing, was actually observability, not accuracy. And then Sonic got good enough. In like self-driving, it's safer than we are, but we still don't want to make that trade because we want to be like, that guy killed that person, right? Like we need to be able to blame people. Radiology, it's there too, right? Like we just don't know who to sue if something went wrong. I think for finance, like exactly what you're talking about is we had to have a UI that allows for you to observe the diff. And like we had a good inspiration, right? Cursor. So actually now like it's part of the launch video I just shared. And I know we were talking about like product demos, which I have a strong opinion about. Like the whole, like you have to be able to see everything that's changed, but also the root material. Because in Excel, definitionally, some things are hard-coded, but you want to know where those came from because you can't justify it, right? Like what part of the 10K did it come from? What web search did it come from? What's the exact quote? Like what page? So if I really do believe that it's not about getting to 99.9% accuracy. It's about like getting to perfect traceability because like your analysts suck. Like even your associates are not good, right? So you just have to be able to observe it at a superhuman level.
Do you think?
Well, yeah, and the good thing for analysts is like you combined with a product like this could actually get to the point where you're truly elite.
Yeah. So I know people are afraid. Let me hit that. Like clearly analysts should be using this or a tool that will try to do what we're doing. No doubt about it. It's the right launch is a non-zero amount of controversy, right? Like I know that's an emotional reaction that people have, but clearly people will be using this the same way. Like if you don't use Cursor now, like you don't know what you're doing, right?
Yeah. Do you think you'll
you're
face
not afraid
more...
to trigger a couple of incoming analysts that are just say, I used it and it did this wrong. It's like, well, you probably would have made a mistake too.
Yeah.
So.
Do you think you'll face more competition, or there will be more war rooms planning to compete with you from the hyperscalers who have products that they want to add this feature to, or the foundation model labs who see, hey, you know what? Maybe I don't have control over a consumer application, but I can do a lot of these calculations in pandas, in Python.
Yeah. I'll answer those two. Those two are very different.
Yeah.
When it comes to the hyperscaler, it comes down to can they?
Mm-hmm.
I think they would if they could, right? And they would have already. I think it comes down to like inertia, talent, even.
Sure.
Then that's not true for OpenAI, right? Yeah. But what's the problem there? I think it's going to be a bitter competition. Is the truth. Then you have to ask, what principles do you really believe in, and will it prevent you from doing what I'm doing? Yeah. Right. Like I think even if you made an effort to copy me or beat me or directly compete with me, you'd have to believe the things I believe in like wholeheartedly. And I think most of the people at Frontier Labs, I know because I work at a small one, like really don't even care about Excel, or they think that like we're all going towards an input-output model anyway.
Sure.
Right. That like you have to do a general training like paradigm to bring you just a model at the very end. And who cares if it's hard coded? Like Excel's a thing of the past anyway. I think there's like $1 bajillion to make in between those two states.
Yep.
And I'm not even sure that their path brings you to that state first, right? So my argument, or the way I think about competition, is more like in principle versus the top labs, but it's more just maybe arrogance when it comes to the hyperscalers.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I mean, OpenAI is fighting a war on like 7 different fronts right now. They're like, oh, we're also going to do a phone, we're also going to do a browser, and we're also going to do this and that, and like a coding environment and all this, and like. And
that comes from a research.
How do you? I guess
you're 7 steps down the power law.
I know.
Will they really build a competitor? As a piece of spreadsheet software, they probably could, but that's pretty low on the priority stack for them, I imagine.
I guess how your approach from a go-to-market standpoint just seems to be like create the best product possible and release it and see what happens. Is that will you have an enterprise motion over time? Do you are you going to set up a New York office and like pound the pavement?
We're going for drinks, guys. We're going now. Listen. I think people have a lot of false, stupid pride about like their go-to-market motion, right? Like I've mentioned Cursor 4 times, a lot of admiration, but they beat the drum that like we've never spent $1 on go-to-market or distribution or ads. Like that's a flex, but it's stupid, right? Like you can also have a world-class sales team. When I meet with the CIOs of the biggest banks in the world, like they want to go, right? Now I need to know like what it takes to have the right SWAT team to put that together. But I don't think that comes at the expense of what we're doing from like a prosumer bottoms up path.
Yeah, totally.
Inevitably, one will seem to be more fruitful than the other, and I will pour proportional resources towards it. I think clearly my gift is more bottoms up.
But both can be positive sum for you.
For sure. And I don't think Windsurf had to, exactly. Exactly.
Makes sense. Deal director in the chat says, Nico said the finance bro end of times is delayed a couple months, which I think is correct.
I wanted to give them a chance to get back from Central Pay.
Right? Yeah, you have 2 months to escape the permanent underclass.
Yes. So start vibe modeling. Anyway,
good
this
stuff.
has been fantastic. Always good hanging out with you. Jordy, anything else?
Yeah, congrats on the lunch.
Yeah, congrats on the lunch.
We'll
talk to you soon.
Appreciate it, guys. See
you
guys
next time.
You're on notice.
You're on notice.
Listen, I'm a fixture now, but I'll actually suit up.
Okay. Yeah.
Right.
The microphone's fantastic.
Cheers.
Everything else is fantastic.
Take my job serious.
Yeah. Bye. Gary Tan says, hire the engineer who worked on the best product, hire the marketer and salesperson who managed to get the worst product to outsell the best product.
I'm gonna.
Do you agree?
So I mean, an example here is this is the product quality is up for debate. But
Okay.
I'd say like the market generally preferred
I know where you're going with this.
Cursor
Yeah,
over
Windsurf too. Yep.
But they got to 80 million.
They had a fantastic go-to-market
ARR,
motion, and now that is a Cognition.
and now they have a cracks engineering team, and
pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, it is hard to find. I like searching for engineers who worked at the best products. It's very easy. It's what Mark Zuckerberg is doing. Go hire the OpenAI researchers who built O3. Go hire the OpenAI researchers who worked on images in ChatGPT. They're clearly good. It's much harder to actually identify products that have outsized distribution, right?
It's
like
funny
how
that
do you
OpenAI has so many different like products and models and things like that, that there's so many people that can leave and be like, I was the product lead on O3 Pro Mini High. And you can raise $100 million off of that.
You can get $100 million in your bank account in a hiring bonus.
Noah Smith says, I was doing a podcast with Eric Tornberg and Dwarkesh the other day, and we were talking about whether AI will destroy humanity. And in an offhand way, I remarked that technology had already destroyed humanity. And it's showing the world population with a projection based on a fertility rate of 1.6 children per woman, basically showing that by 2800, our population will go down to 0. I would just say, technology has not destroyed your humanity.
775 years to figure out this problem. Skill issue. I think we're going to be good, but it is an interesting trend, and obviously, it's one of the less explored territories in what happened.
I think if we can get a vaccine for twins and triplets. And we just keep
what that is? It's not being
keep the pregnancy rate where it is.
It's the rate of twins and triplets is very low in vegetarians, and so eating a carnivore diet might literally save us. I'm not kidding about this.
Government-run hamburger shops.
Yes.
Every universal basic hamburger 3 times a day.
It is one of the unexplored answers, and I think because tech people debate the what happened in 1971 so much and the stagnation thesis, no one really wants to interrogate. Was it technology that happened in 1971? Was that the beginning of the technology boom? But maybe we should be having that conversation about the effect that, the personal computer and then the internet had on everything. That might be one of the reasons. One of the interesting theories for, the original what happened in 1971, the Peter Thiel stagnation thesis, this idea that we are not building flying cars, we stopped building nuclear reactors, is truly just that the internet was such a great draw that it brain drained everyone away from everything, because over in nuclear territory, you had regulation and you couldn't move that fast. But on the internet, you could throw up a website and get distribution, and had very few forms to fill out, very few gatekeepers to delay your rise, and so you could just grow at the natural rate that the market pulled. You basically had a free market on the internet and in the computing world, and you did not have a free market in the energy world or in the flying car world, and so it is interesting.
Well, more importantly, armor-plated Gulf Force One spotted with President Trump at the golf course. I guess, did he get this transported to Scotland?
I suppose so.
Because it looks like a links course.
I mean, they fly on a global, have you seen the plane that the president flies on when they bring the Beast and the SUVs and stuff?
Oh, they bring is it the C-130?
Yeah, it's one of those. It's a huge transport. Okay, and then I think the entire front of or maybe the back of the plane goes down. They're already in the cars, and they just drive out in the armor-plated SUVs. And so bringing this does not seem that difficult. It is kind of funny because, I guess it keeps you safe while you're in it, but then you have to get out to golf. So it's not like a full security detail, but seems like it works to some degree. Anyway, Nizzy says, the only way to make AI output good code, I swear, is copy the Figma file exactly. No mistakes. My sister will die if you F up. Ridiculous. And so, this is, I think this is more of a joke at this point, and we are out of the make a threat.
If it works, it works.
I don't think that you actually get better LLM results by prompt engineering in that way. I think that's a relic of a few years ago, where you used to have to say, please do this and don't make mistakes and all of that stuff. You used to, when you went to prompt an image generator, you used to have to say no 6 fingers. Don't do 6 fingers. And then it would do 5 fingers. You had to tell it that. And now it's all baked in. And so you don't run into that problem at all anymore. Anyway, In other news, Ashley Vance has a new video on core memory about New Limit, who's been on the show, which is finding combinations of protein that reverse aging across the body. Is perhaps the most exciting work in the biotech field. I agree. It's backed by Brian Armstrong, Patrick Collison, Josh Kushner, Nat Friedman, and others. You should go check it out. It's a 17-minute video. It's out on X now, and of course it's on the core memory YouTube.
Yeah, shout out to
Oh,
Ashley.
I mean, Ashley Vance has got to do a video about Robert Maddox.
Robert Maddox. Yeah, I was going to say,
this for a core memory deep dive.
This feels equally important to humanity's future.
Yes. So Robert Maddox has a hobby. Looks like an older gentleman. His hobby is installing jet engines on anything that can move, and he put a jet engine on a bicycle here and is just ripping down the street. Absolute legend.
Let's put a jet engine on a horse.
Let's put a jet engine
on the basketball player. I don't even know his name. The guy who has the horse that he races.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's someone else. I don't even. This
Nikola Jokic.
I'm
sure I'm mispronouncing
jet
that
engine
and revealing my my
Quinn
lack of
Nelson.
Look at this. Here you go. Look at this guy. He's having the time of his life.
On a skateboard?
Riding a jet engine. I didn't know you could. I wonder what it takes to build a jet engine like that. Yeah, the metal just heats up like that. It's crazy, right?
That's insane.
Wow. Yeah, this is hard tech. Get this man to the gundo.
Wow, Santa.
This is remarkable.
What a rig.
Why is this not like commercialized? Like, why is this not a thing? Is it just extremely dangerous? Did they never figure out how to make jet engines reliable in the right way? It feels like maybe it's not fuel efficient. I don't know. We use them in planes. Why not in skateboards? This seems extremely dangerous. I wonder how fast he's going. The Santa Claus one's particularly good. This
seemingly does these in flat open spaces.
This also feels like textbook, like this could be AI generated, but
no,
I don't think it actually is.
Yeah, wait, is this real? I thought it was AI when I saw it.
I don't know
It's
anymore.
farm to table. It screams Robert Maddox.
Let's look it up. Let's fact check this.
He has an account called Crazy Rocket Man.
I think he's Lindy. I think he was around before generative AI.
I can see videos.
So he is real.
He was doing this 10 years ago.
10 years ago. You think he was using DALL-E 1.0 for that? No way.
No way.
This is
he's been a figment of Sam Altman's imagination.
Potentially.
Okay, we're getting back into 20
of,
years ago. He
17
years ago.
Okay.
MaddoxJets.com.
This is the value.
Incredibly scary pulset powered jet engine car.
There we go. Well, speaking of AI, Elon Musk has rolled out a change to Super Grok coming to your phone soon, and this is actually a great
Grok
feature.
heavy.
So it has an auto setting that chooses the best mode, whether to go with the fast response or the deep or the expert response. This is something it's turning into one of my number one frustrations with the ChatGPT app at the moment, is that sometimes I want 04 and I want, or 4.0 and I want something quick. And then sometimes I want 03. And if I trigger the quick question with 03 Pro and it's waiting there for 10 minutes, I have to go and start a new chat and then change the model and then get the 4.0 question answered, and it just slows me down a little bit.
Yep.
And I think this auto mode should come to the chat box. I would even just be down for give me the ability to pick the model in the chat box. So I should just be able to say, hey, use 4.0 to tell me the capital of Scotland, and it should just do it quickly. Or I should say, I need a deep research report on this, and it should just trigger deep research. I shouldn't have to click UI buttons on this. Text is the universal interface. You know who said that. OpenAI. So make it truly a universal interface by allowing me to pick the model in the prompt window, please. Anyway, speaking of ChatGPT, Quinn Nelson has a post that says, today I learned my wife is using ChatGPT to find coupon codes for web stores online. She said it works almost every time without ad-ridden websites filled with old codes. I've literally never once considered using an LLM for this, but now it seems obvious. I love it. Very interesting. I never would have thought to do this, but now that it's out there, makes a ton of sense. Go when you're searching, when you're about to check out.
Just
flip over to ChatGPT.
Checked Lucy code Ben20 gives you 20% off store wide.
There we go. Yep.
So
it's a good one.
There we go. This is breaking news, and this is important. Mercedes-Benz is finally integrating Microsoft Teams into its vehicles. We have been begging for this.
Yes.
They really are, it's basically an office on wheels.
Well, this is huge.
About time.
This is huge because if you're a defense tech founder, you're probably ITAR compliant. You need Microsoft Teams. You're probably driving a Mercedes-Benz 6x6.
Yeah.
Right?
You should be.
G63 6x6.
It's not very American
probably
dynamism
armor
coded,
plated,
but
that's
it's
extremely
secure.
yeah. It's pretty
Getting an
American dynamism
American-made-
coded.
You're
coded.
getting an American-made 6x6.
I mean, there
John.
just aren't that many other options. If you're in the market for a 6x6,
I want to see teams in a Ford Raptor. That's the ultimate.
The
gun
gauntlet
to
has
win.
been thrown down by Mercedes-Benz. Balls in your court, Ford.
Yeah,
Ford Motor
let's see
Company.
it.
Let's
It's
get
so
teams
funny.
in
It's
there.
everybody's dunking on this, being like, "Oh, this is so silly. No one asked for this." It's like so many people take conference calls while driving.
That's
Why
true.
would they not make an
Yes.
integration?
Also, Mercedes-Benz has one of the few active systems on the road that's level 3 self-driving. And what that means is that when you're on the freeway at certain speeds, I believe between like 20 and 40 miles an hour, they are so confident in their self-driving technology that you can watch a YouTube video while you're in the driver's seat, which doesn't sound that crazy when you think about like Waymo and what Tesla's doing with the robotaxi, but it is an interesting thing for just like a consumer car that you can actually own and you can drive around, and then you can throw it into self-driving mode and it will let you watch a YouTube video, so it should let you take a Teams call, I would imagine, or let you use anything. And then it disables the screen if it needs you to take over. And I think the reason that they've rolled out level 3 at like low speeds in traffic is because even if you get into an accident at 40 miles an hour, if it's a new Mercedes-Benz, it's probably very, very hard for that accident to be truly catastrophic because you're just not going that fast. But I don't know. We'll see how this works out. We'll see if the Teams users enjoy it. Anyway.
In more news, Seabass in the chat says, "What did you think of the Tesla Samsung deal?" Which I didn't see.
I didn't see that.
So I pulled it up.
Okay.
This is a bad look on our part, John. How do we miss a $16.5 billion supply deal between Tesla and Samsung to spur the chip maker's U.S. contract business?
Oh, okay, interesting.
So Tesla has signed a $16.5 billion deal to source chips from Samsung.
Yep.
A move that could bolster the South Korean tech giant's unprofitable contract business, but it is unlikely to help Tesla sell more EVs or roll robotaxis more quickly. Tesla CEO Elon, of course, said Sunday that Samsung's new chip factory in Taylor, Texas, would make Tesla's next generation A16 chip. And so anyways, we'll need to look into this more. It says production is still years away.
Okay.
So it's unlikely to help Tesla's immediate challenges.
It's still just notable that they're not making the chips that go into Tesla's self-driving units at TSMC. Like that is what's the real news here, because with everything on the cutting edge of AI, whether it's Apple Intelligence, ChatGPT, Google Gemini, no matter what the chip is, it's fabbed at TSMC right now on the most leading edge process. So, and interestingly, for a long time, TSMC's most cutting edge fabs were driven by smartphone demand. So Apple would come to TSMC and say, "We need the smallest nanometer fab you have. We want 2 nanometer, we want 3 nanometer, we want the most cutting edge." And the most cutting edge chip, the most cutting edge process would always go into a smartphone. And the reason for that was not raw compute power, it was compute efficiency and power efficiency. Because if you're putting a chip in a phone, battery life is really, really key. If you're putting a chip in a data center, power efficiency is important on the big macro scale. But at the end of the day, if you're getting a 1 gigawatt data center with a nuclear power plant and a natural gas peaker plant outside, and you have solar panels everywhere and batteries, you have all this stuff. Like, power is important, but it's not as critical. Like, you can just pay for it, whereas you really can't just pay for more battery life magically in the iPhone. Like, the iPhone has to last all day and it has to be a certain size. And so the power consumption is very important. And that's why TSMC has always been driven to the leading edge by Apple and by the smartphone makers. But that's actually shifting now. And so TSMC earnings happened last week and they blew them out. And
Samsung is up over 6% today in reaction to the news. Somebody was commenting about the news, Jesse Pelton. Most important news of the year so far is what Jesse says. Elon says, "So few understand this. Few understand this. Few
Few?
No, just messing around.
Yeah,
He says Elon says it will become obvious in 2 to 3 years why this is big news.
Well, yeah, because
So-
I mean, I would imagine that what they're going to fab is something that looks like a AI ASIC for something like the TPU, but designed specifically for Tesla's self-driving
self-driving.
capabilities, which might be different
And
than a
made
LLM
in
inference
America,
call.
made
Because
in Texas.
when you are training a self-driving system, you don't need to know all of humanity's knowledge forever necessarily. You might not need to train on all of the web text. You need a ton of images, and it might be a slightly different pipeline. And so optimizing around that might be what they're thinking of doing. We'll need to dig in more. But I would see this as similar to like TPU or Trainium or any of these other Apple, like the Apple Silicon chips. Like they are a mag-7 company that has slightly different needs for their particular compute demands. And so they are going to one of the 2 or 3 leading fabs and making exactly what they want at scale. And they're planning to ship a lot of these because they, what Elon is saying is like, we're betting on needing a ton of these chips because we're not planning to sell less cars. We're going to sell a lot of these cars, and they're all going to have custom chips in them.
And this
to
will
do
be
inference.
another edge for Tesla
Exactly.
on autonomous driving.
Exactly.
So,
Especially once they add a V12
Yep.
with straight piped exhaust. That
naturally
will be,
aspirated
adding
V12.
that back will actually be easier than the Ford Raptor getting custom silicon from Samsung. That's the bull
Yep.
case. Anyway.
Well, thank you for tuning into TBPN today. We have to get on with London.
We do.
Right now. But we appreciate
Leave us
you
5 stars on
hanging out.
Apple Podcasts. Leave us 5 stars on Spotify. We are the number 4 ranked podcast in technology on Spotify. Thank you to everyone who supported us to help us get here. It's been a wild ride. We enjoy
deeply
this
appreciate
so
it.
much.
We love you.
Appreciate you,
we'll see
especially
you
everyone in
tomorrow.
the chat, especially Huxley and Jonathan
And the deal
Daniel
director.
and everyone. Yes.
Everybody.
Thank you for watching. We will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.
Have a great evening.
Goodbye.
Cheers.